On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will take a break from the Bad Batch and turn their laser-focused breakdown brains to the tales of the Empire and its two leading ladies. How'd they like the Imperial angle? How'd they rank the episodes? Which shorts were better than the others? And more will be discussed. If animated Star Wars isn't your thing, they'll also take a deep dive into the newly released The Acolyte trailer, which showed off a new dark side character and footage to really get their speculation juices flowing. They may even riff on some Skeleton Crew news and the LEGO Rebuild the Galaxy What If series surprise. Of course, the show will end with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Honest Features. Punch it, Chewie.
Sure.
Hey, we made it! One too many button presses. Hey now, everybody, welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. It's the old guy who screams at clouds and young Nick. We are back, locked and loaded, and guess what? No Bad Batch talk. Okay? We are, I think last week, I can't remember what I told you all, because, you know, we've expressed this before to the audience, Nick, that essentially anything we say on the show, we don't remember. It just,
we brain dump right after the episode.
Yeah, when you're doing it live and then you stop, it's just like, okay, I guess it was good, maybe it was bad, I'm sure I offended somebody, or we lost a fan, you never know. But I can't remember if we laid out our schedule. But anyways, we would typically do our Bad Batch post-mortem, as Nick calls it. Kind of how we do with every series. Just like how we set series up. We were like, hey, we want to see this. And we were predicting this is going to happen. We come back to those and revisit once the season comes through. And, you know, just to highlight our excellence at times and then our failures. So because we got so much action over the Star Wars Day weekend, I was a fool. Nick was right. I sat here and basically pissed on his Cheerios when he's like, yeah, there'll probably be a new Acolyte trailer. I was like, fuck you! And there was. And it was fantastic. We got Skeleton Crew stuff. We got a new LEGO What If series coming in September. So we're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's stick with what is current. That is Tales. That is Acolyte. That is LEGO. That's what we're doing. All right. So next week, I lined up a special guest. We should be getting Seth, a.k.a. Laird Geek from Beyond the Dune Sea, to sit in Nick's co-pilot seat next Wednesday. And he is going to do the post-mortem with me, which should be fun, Nick. I think that's actually going to be pretty neat dynamic where we're going to bring in a stranger and be like, hey, look, this is what we said. Or how dumb are we? Or how great are we? So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like I already gave my post-mortem in the last episode.
We just need to revisit our predictions because they were pretty fucking terrible. And characters we wanted to see, we didn't hit a single fucking one. There's some epic misses there. So it should be fun to just kind of revisit our soothsaying and see how far we were off. And if we were wrong, or if it was really the writing team didn't go the right direction, right? We could always make that argument that no, our ideas were probably better. So that's going to be planned for next Wednesday. Then Nick and I are going to do a secret private show on Tuesday of next week, record it, and we're going to throw that out right before Acolyte drops. And then we'll be back, young Nick and the old guy, for Acolyte E1, E2 breakdown time on June 5. Huh! Get some. All right, there you go. So Nick, here we're getting into the Ask Us Anything first, right? So
let's do it. Yeah.
Here we go. Let's we'll get the Fall Guy here in a second. Let's switch things up. Got some good questions this week, Nick. Let me pop them up so we can actually read them here. I think that, this one's coming from Bango, who is in the chat and not having a good day. But as I can see right now, our kick-ass members, the green handles, the little cats, they're all in there picking them up. Filling fucking buckets! That's what we do now on the SWTS. We are a bucket-filling show because I always need mine filled. Remember? It's a leaky motherfucker. All right, Nick, here we go. I think you're going to like this one because you two kind of share a passion for this art form. So Bango asking, I know you're not into the novels, but as a reader and amateur writer, I've become increasingly alarmed by the dog shit story and character building of the High Republic adult novels. I refuse to waste my time or money on the young adult shit. That said, are we setting ourselves up for disappointment with the Acolyte series, or do you think the show will eclipse all the other HR media that came before it?
Here's what I'll say, and here's what's been proven throughout the entire history of Star Wars. Even though they write them, books don't fucking matter. Like, they write them, and some of them are good, and some of them aren't. Like you said, Bango, I haven't read or completed any of the High Republic novels. I got halfway through the first one. But I don't think that this show is going to have any lick of thing to do with those books. Like, it's just not, like, Leslie may have, like, pulled some stuff from the High Republic novels, but because this series has been in development for as long as it has been, and the fact that the High Republic started relatively recently in terms of the publishing initiative, I really doubt she has leaned on any of the material from the High Republic, like publication arm for her series. The only way that would have happened is if somebody told her that, oh, you need to include this because it was in a book. But I don't think that she's relying on any sort of like storylines or character plots from those novels to write the Acolyte show. So I wouldn't be worried about it in that way, just because there's the slimmest chance that she has actually leaned on any of that writing for that show.
Yeah, I can actually come in with actual source material from what's their name? Fuck, I am off today.
From
Leslie Headland.
Yeah, Leslie Headland. Yeah.
She specifically said Vernestra is the only character coming from the books that's going to be in the show, and it is kind of just because she is so old and wise and a master at this point in time. She did promise or tease, if they do get a second season, she would like to dangle some other characters from that era, but it doesn't seem like she's beholden to any of their stories.
Yeah.
Any characters that were created for the novels, I believe, like Vernestra in season 1, we're going to see she's going to use sparingly, but in like a key minor role. So nothing to worry about, Bat. And really, all your question proves is that the words and shit suck. They've always been less than, and that's why I'm glad I never wasted my life reading any of that garbage. Sorry, Izan people. I guess I'll take that back. I've heard from Nick they're okay, even though he couldn't even finish the fucking latest series. So, but yeah, fuck books. Only stick to real canon. George always said he's
and the
real
comic
canon.
books like that you read, right? Even though all that shit's probably
they've been blessed.
Anyway.
Like they've been blessed by Filoni. So I you know, it is what it is. But I'm telling you right now,
I'm
Nick,
starting to believe less and less in Filoni every fucking day.
Yeah,
so we'll see. I don't really care what he blesses anymore.
I can't really argue with you. He's almost becoming George Lucas himself, just making content that he wants to see versus what the fans are looking for. But hey, we're not going to get into that right now. We're not going to pick on Mr. Filoni. And I'll tell you what, when you bring up the comic books, I may be giving them up because they are fucking dog shit right now. Like, they're even making the Vader run boring as fuck, and that is a tragedy. There's a reason why you haven't seen any, quick caps or reviews from me lately. It's just, it's not worth it. I mean, I don't get any views on those anyways, not even on the shorts. So that's one reason, but they've just been awful. This Schism Imperial shit is dumb as fuck. So yeah. Unless it's moving images, it can go blow a goat. All right. Next question. What's up, boys? Curious on how much time passes or when in time does Lynn's saving Bears take place? I'll handle this because I'm pretty good at this shit. Well, we know for a fact the Inquisitorius is still going down. We know the Empire is still there. But, and we're going to talk about this. I mean, considering Barriss looks half fucking dead.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a point on this. Like, people, being a Jedi is not good for your health, all right? I.e. Barriss now and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just look what being a good Force user does to your physical self. It is not good. But Nick, I honestly think the Barriss thread, we could, with confidence, place it right around the Bad Batch epilogue. I think it's very close to a battle of Yavin open major scale rebellion.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's very, very close. Like, given the age progression of Barriss in particular, even though that wasn't mirrored into Lynn for some reason, like Lynn looked exactly the same.
I got theories and jokes, but yeah, we'll get there when we're on
It's probably
tails.
like it. I mean, like more than likely, what it has to do with is the alien species difference. Like some alien species have a lifespan closer to humans, and some have.
Well, unfortunately, dude, her species can live to like 150s.
Oh, what Barriss as a?
Like, I really don't want to dive into it, but just to tease the theory, we do know she became a healer. And we do know Force healing requires you to pass your own essence to the person, as we learned from Rey and whatnot. So that's my working theory, even though I think it was a little over the top. But there we go. Question answered there, Darth LVJ. League, what are the chances of a theatrical premiere of Acolyte? I think strong. I think we teased this last week, League. What's his name? Star Wars Sith over there on IG. He's on a tear right now. He's almost to 10,000 YouTube subscribers. He's at like 5K 2 weeks ago. So good for him. Wish that was us. But they teased, I don't know if it was Regal or Cinemark or some chain wherever those dudes live. They had a listing for a 2-hour Acolyte theater premiere. So I do think it's a strong possibility. And Nick, when you factor in that a 25-year-old Star Wars movie took second place at the box office this weekend and only lost to The Fall Guy, making almost $9 million, I think that should, as Nick has been screaming for well over a year, tickle someone's taint over at Disney. Be like, hey, these fucking Star Wars idiots will flock to a theater if we shove content in there. It doesn't even have to be new. So, I mean, I think this almost has to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I would premiere all of my new live action shows, the first 2 episodes in theaters. Like the way that they did it with Ahsoka didn't really make a ton of sense because they did a 2-episode like theatrical drop from the middle of the series, which is a little weird because then if you're whatever, I'm not going to go into it. It was a weird choice. I would premiere every live action first 2 episodes in theaters because then you pull in interested viewers who may not be on the TV train, but you suck them in because it's a theatrical release, and then you transfer those over to potential subscribers to Disney Plus. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to see them like take that tact and be more aggressive in the theatrical market because, like you said, theaters are dying and or dead. Like there are very few movies that people are going to go out to see now. You know, it really takes something special, as we've seen, to build enough buzz to get a theatrical, like a meaningful theatrical release. But I think if you do, like, Star Wars is always going to have that kind of theatrical magic to it, at least a little bit. I mean, like this Fall Guy movie that Matt's going to talk about, that thing was advertised to fucking death. It was marketed into the ground and it barely made $50 million. Like, that's just the state of where theaters are now. But I think that it's a good funnel into like the TV shows if you do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. So hopefully they do. I doubt I'll get my ass out to see it because, you know, we got shit to do. It's going to come out Tuesday night. I got to watch it, prep all day Wednesday, and then blab about it on the Star Wars Time Show. Okay, this is a good one here. Cyan XTC, good to see you again, our friend. If money wasn't issue, what is a dream vacation or travel destination for you? I'm going to answer this for Nick because he's going there next week. Ecuador.
No. I mean, I don't know.
You go first because you're more of a traveler.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I've been a lot of places that I've wanted to go. And really the only two that are left are Japan and South Korea for me. Like there's not really another destination that I want to go to. And they're both very achievable destinations. In fact, like my girlfriend sent me, and like we travel through Disney sometimes because it's cheaper. Like when we're going to Hawaii in a couple weeks, and guess what? We get to stay at the hotel for no charge because we're Disney Vacation Club members.
Boom!
So we get to stay for free.
Flash that card member card, Nick.
Yeah. So that's really nice. But like
platinum.
For like a perfect example is my girlfriend Taylor sent me this little, I think it was like a TikTok or an Instagram video of like this family's vacation to Disneyland, Japan. Their entire trip cost them $2,500 for a family of 3.
No shit.
Yeah, it was extremely affordable.
Isn't the Japanese yen just like dog shit right now? So the dollar is super strong over there?
Yeah, the dollar is definitely strong over there, so that helps a lot. But like, and then the thing is like you stay on Disney grounds, but how the park is set up, you can still go and you can see the cities around it. Like you're not
Nick,
stuck in Disney.
Mid-April 25, Japan, calling your name, Star Wars Celebration. Let's go.
Yeah, Taylor was actually like, I wanted to buy you tickets to that as a present, but I don't know if you want to go. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go for Star Wars Celebration, honestly, because celebrations that's just not my thing. Like, I don't care to stand around on a floor.
Not in Japan. Like, I'm with you. I was thinking the same thing. When actually, like, if you really want my truth, Scion, no money, no nothing. I want to take a fucking rocket ship into space like William Shatner, because that's pretty fucking wild. And being a lifelong Star Wars fan, I always wanted to be in space. I'm just still amazed by space movies and what that must feel like to be up there. So that's what I do. But my number 2, right there with young Nick, it would be Nippon. So yeah, there we go. All right. And yeah, I don't think I'm doing Celebration. The more I thought about it, I mean, to do Japan right, I want to be there for at least a week and a half. I don't want to be locked into a convention schedule. Yeah. And the fact that you couldn't get your passes beforehand and potentially flip if you couldn't make it, that kind of eliminated it for me.
And honestly, like, this is kind of how I felt about Celebration Chicago too. I was like, I had fun, but more like most of the reason I had fun is because we were hanging out together. It was me, you, the intern Ryan, and like our significant others. Like we would go do convention floor stuff, and that was fine. But like the real fun was had after we left the convention, and like we went out bowling and drinking, and we had a good time.
Shit faced, and Matt's all fucked up on the subways and throwing up at the Mando premiere event.
So like that was more of the fun. Like the convention's fine. Like the convention, it's like, what do? You walk around the convention floor and like you look at all these booths with shit that you don't want to buy, and like
Nick's right. If you've never been to a Celebration, the floor itself gets old in 2 hours, and in fact, you probably are going to start to want to stab people. What is fun at Celebration is being around all these other happy ass Star Wars fans. It actually feels, okay, these are my people. They're happy. They're not angry about, trans or woke shit. We're just here enjoying the fuck out of Star Wars. It is overly positive. So that's great too. Yeah. And you're just mingling with all these people, seeing all the cosplay. But unless you are getting the lottery shit to go to the exclusive panels, Celebration gets very old in terms of what you can do outside of just hanging out with Star Wars fans. So
I mean, like when we went to Chicago, I went to one panel. Like I didn't get the Tross panel, you did. Right. You and Ryan both got it. I got the Mando panel, and so did you and Ryan. So we all got to go to that one, and then I think that was it. Like there was one more panel at the end that we didn't end up going to because it was like the 20th anniversary
it was the TPM thing.
And like I didn't get to go to that because we were like our plan was to like leave around that time, so I didn't have enough time to like be able to go to that and then also get to the airport and stuff like that, get ready to leave. So like we went to the convention. I got to do one panel. We walked around, got to see some stuff, and then we hung out. So like while it's cool to go once, like honestly, after going once, I don't feel the need to go back because it's so like you feel like you're going to have this personal experience, but it's really the opposite. It's like the only time you really get to interact with the celebrities that are there is if you pay. And like, I'm not the type of person to be like, hey, here's $25. Can I get a picture with you and an autograph?
Try like $125, pal.
Like,
yeah, I mean, listen, I will go again when it's stateside if it's in a normal place. I don't know about the West Coast. I would do Chicago again. I really like that. I thought the Orlando, the location, great in terms of management, sucky. But I'll tell you what, a lot of you motherfuckers, especially the youngins, not that we have a lot of youngins, but I did Celebration 2 and 3. That's when the shit was raw. It was still like very guerrilla style Star Wars Celebration. There was almost no rules. You could sneak into any panel you wanted to as long as you acted like you belonged there. And I'm sure a lot of people hated my guts and Stump Buddy's guts, but we just walked around the place like we fucking owned it. And the people that typically go to conventions, I hate to say it, but they're typically the ones that do yield to alpha types. So it was very easy to do whatever you wanted. And then, it became what it is now, and it's just massive. So I will be back. I do like the atmosphere, but I don't think I'm ever going to be 4-day adult again. Might just try to keep going for media badges, even though we don't really have credentials. All right, I think this is we got one more here. How many of the new hot toys did you buy? I know he's asking me because Nick ain't buying that shit. I limited myself to 2. I got the Dark Empire Luke, even though when it comes down to it, it is kind of a silly looking figure, Nick. It's like Luke on Darth Vader's legs, essentially. Oh,
so they didn't even really come up with it.
Do you know the book then, The Dark Empire, where like he's on the cover and he's got like almost like a vampire cape on, like with a high collar? They are making that version of Luke. And then I did snag the Shadow Trooper, the all black stormtrooper. So not gonna lie, guys, I almost fell into the gold chrome clone trooper. I'm not sure why. I just like shiny gold shit. But luckily he hit waitlist before I could hit go, so fuck him. And this is we put Rippick here because remember last week he popped off. He popped off again this week. We're loving Rippick. He's full of content now. But he's going to set us up for a topic coming up here soon. So we're just going to tease this now, but we will be paying off on this. So Rippick's asking, what is up with Skeleton Crew? Is it safe? Is it all right? Just like the One Ring, yes, it is. And like I said, we will have some details coming up. So stay tuned for our Skeleton Crew segment. But before we get there, it's pop culture time, people. You know what I mean? So real quick here, you heard Nick talk about it. It did win the weekend, and actually he quoted a box office haul higher than I heard, so good for them.
It was less than 50 million?
Maybe you're catching worldwide, but I think domestic it only did like 26.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and back before COVID, this time of year, I mean, these were the MCU releases, so you're probably movies like The Fall Guy, like Nick said, they were probably, and I'm sure they've readjusted for this time, but back in the day, Nick, they were probably hoping to make 60 to 70 domestic, and that was probably on the low end.
29.6. Yeah, 29,600,000 is what it made.
Well, here's the deal.
Domestic.
It really doesn't matter what a movie makes. It matters if the movie's good or not. We know going to the cinema is kind of broken because people are lazy. I don't know I really don't know what the deal is. I still love the movies, and if they ever go away, it's really going to blow. But I'll tell you right now, The Fall Guy is really, really good. It's very good. If you like just behind the scenes of making movies, you're going to like this. If you know a stunt guy or you appreciate stunt people, you're going to love this. If you're in the rom-coms, you're going to dig this. If you think Ryan Gosling is a cool motherfucker, you're going to absolutely love The Fall Guy. And if you think Emily Blunt is one of the sexiest, smartest women in Hollywood, again, you can't go wrong with The Fall Guy. I just watched this, and I'm tangential to the stunt industry because I have a few friends in it. That they've been in it for almost 2 decades now. I've been on sets with them, so I kind of know their life. They're the most disrespected members of Hollywood, and this movie kind of turns them into a superhero and really gives them their credit. It even pokes fun that the Oscars doesn't recognize stunt people. It's just I can't imagine if I was a stunt person what this movie would be to me. It's a love letter to stunt people, which makes sense because David Leitch or Lighty, whatever, he was a stunt guy before becoming a director now that's done a bunch of cool ass movies. So it's really, really well done. I don't know. I mean, I just did my Apes rewatch, Nick, to get ready for Kingdom. I think Kingdom is going to be fucking phenomenal, just like the Matt Reeves trilogy that kind of set up Planet of the Apes. So I have a feeling Fall Guy is going to take a big fat punch to the face this week. But if you have a choice between the two and you haven't, got caught up for Kingdom, you cannot do wrong with the Fall Guy. All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's actually a movie that, like, even though we haven't gone to see it yet, it is something that we want to see. I feel like just like the advertising for it, even though I was saying like they advertised the shit out of it because they did. Like I saw this everywhere. Like the advertising was good, and I really do think that even in the trailers, the chemistry between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling was like really it seemed pretty palpable. And the action set pieces looked awesome and fun. So like I do plan on seeing it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like we used to go to the movies a lot, and now like it really takes something special to get us out to it.
Nick is no longer one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Well, hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. I get it. Like I mean, I know where you're at. You're in your mid 30s. I like my whole fucking life was changing during that decade. What passions came and went, you never know. So one day maybe he'll be back on the train like me, seeing a movie a week, still paying AMC your $19 a month or whatever chain you had down there. But I love it. Until they close those fucking doors, I will keep going to see movies because it is my favorite art form. I love it. And that's why Fall Guy is so fun, because it's a movie about making a movie. So if you love just like BTS stuff, man, that's all you get. And then all the politics and the rom-com fun. So definitely well worth your time, The Fall Guy. But like I said, if you've never watched Rise of the Planet, Dawn of the Planet, and War of the Planet, you owe yourself to go check that out. It is some quality science fiction. All three movies are very, very well done. They tell a great story. And now this Kingdom coming out this week is going to be set 300 years after war and kind of take us closer to the, what was his name? Was that Charlton Heston? Yeah, his Planet of the Apes. So there we go. All right. That is your pop culture recap, my friends. I think it's time for Star Wars time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real quick one here, Nick. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out yet, but this one was kind of a surprise over May the 4th, and that was the reveal of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which is a 4-piece animated special arriving September 13th on D+, and it's going to be a what if special. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, first time, what if? Pause, pump those brakes. Lego Star Wars is no stranger to Star Wars What If. If you remember, I think it was maybe 2 Halloweens ago, there was a Poe Dameron special. And one of the shorts was a what if about if Luke joined the Imperial Academy. So the Lego has already kind of set the groundwork for this, Nick. But I think the reason this is getting such hype from the community is the graphic right there if you're on the live stream. And if you're not, we'd love for you to join 5 p. East Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But you can see it. The man, the myth, the legend, Darth Jar Jar is finally making an official appearance in a Star Wars property. So I think that's why people are so jazzed up. Because we all know here that Darth Jar Jar has been like this meme-y shit in the community for 25 years.
I know, forever.
Since he was introduced.
Forever.
And now you're going to get him this September. So pretty cool stuff here. It's going to star Gaten Matarazzo, the Stranger Things kid with the cleft palate. He's going to be playing this Sig kid who kind of kicks off this big what-if adventure due to something he finds. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see Rebel AT-ATs, Rebel TIE Wings, Imperial X-Fighters. I really think this is going to be a fun-ass Obviously not series, but I love that they're exploring this what if stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this was something that we kind of called for when the Marvel one came out. We were like, oh, well, they can do this with Star Wars too.
Yeah.
It's such a huge galaxy.
And the Marvel ones are great. They really are great because they go way the fuck out there with their what if, like way out.
They get really like intricate with their what ifs. And I mean, it kind of fits for them anyway, because Marvel has this whole multiversal thing going on in its, storytelling. But yeah, I mean, I do think that this is a cool move. Obviously, it's going to be a very limited series. I think it's only 4 episodes. And, the Lego style is typically what they gravitate towards to tell like lighter stories. Would I like to see it in a different animation style? Probably. But I think that this will still be pretty fun, and it'll be a nice little piece for fans to watch and be like, man, you know what? It would be funny, or it would have been interesting if Darth Jar Jar was a thing, or it would have been interesting if, the Clone Wars had gone differently some way, or, see whatever they come up with. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty fun little project.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be a little more cheeky than I think some of us would want for a real what if. I mean, if you want to get into it, I mean, what if Anakin never turned to the dark side? What if Anakin's children joined him? What if Padme lived and Anakin did turn to the dark side? I mean, there's so many really hardcore, like, lore right turns you could take in a real what if. But hey, this is a good start. It'll be cheeky. It'll be tongue in cheek. It'll be fun. So, tune in September 13th. It's probably nothing we're going to break down. I'm sure we may talk about like, hey, this is cool. You should watch it. This is a good moment. But just wanted to let you know this is coming out there in case you missed it. And now, Nick, it's time to pay off on Ripik Tan's tease here about the Skeleton Crew. All right?
All right. Let's do it.
So, first and foremost, coming here from Screen Time via Collider, Star Wars Skeleton Crew will release around Christmas this year. It's kind of what we've been setting up now for well over a year. So, more people, listen to us. But yeah, if Collider's saying it, maybe that will make you all believe it. But I've always anticipated this being late November, December, maybe even like a Book of Boba where it literally bleeds into the next year. So that's that. Then, Nick, we got an updated synopsis from, what's his name? Is it John Watts? I don't even know.
John Watts.
Yeah,
yep.
Well, it's right there, Matt. Just fucking open your eyes. So here we go. We've not had this before, I believe. He says, it's about a group of kids that find a buried spaceship on their boring planet, accidentally turn it on, get blasted off into the galaxy, and it's the story about them trying to find their way back home. So that is great. That really clarifies now where this series is going to start and what the bulk of it is. Because we never really understood, like, are they going to end up in a different galaxy? Are they starting in a different galaxy? But Nick, it sounded like they're going to find some old ancient ship. When they fire it up, it may suck them over to possibly the Peridia galaxy, just because that's where it came from and that's where its coordinates are set once activated.
Yeah.
So
it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out, because we have seen what it took Thrawn and everybody else to get to Peridia. Like, they needed to build this insane fucking
the Eye of Sion
ring. Yeah, like just this crazy contraption to get them there. And so I wonder if like they are gonna be shot off to Peridia, or if like there maybe, like we had speculated before, like maybe they're starting in that galaxy and then they go backwards. Like, there's a lot of opportunity or a lot of different options for how this show could play out. But yeah, I am interested to see like the mechanism by which they do kind of make this transition between galaxies, if that does happen.
Yeah, so very, very brief synopsis, but I think it really opens up the speculative juices. Now, we haven't had much. We have had no moving images unless you were at Celebration last year. I understand why Ripik Tan was asking. It does kind of feel like it disappeared. But don't worry. Now that we know the window, just like Acolyte, we're probably going to start getting trailers maybe, 2 months before. So I would start looking for that type of stuff September, October. And here we go. We'll have a nice little show to finish. I am excited for Skeleton Crew. I know it's set in the Mandoverse, and it's going to kind of touch on the tropes from that era, but that's okay. You know, especially if we factor in this other report, Nick, from Collider, that just goes into how John Watt and his team kind of went about making this show. And I think a lot of fans, especially in my generation, are going to be like, well, fucking A, you're saying all the right things to me. Because this also made big news. Like I said, I think it's because of the old crowd and seeing some old names from George's ILM team.
Yeah.
But John Watt's like, yo, dude, we did everything to make this show. He's like, I got to use all the cool stuff on my most recent Star Wars show. We had previs, mocap, volume. We did everything. But the most fun part was we also used all the old school techniques as well. We got Phil fucking Tippett to do stop motion. All right, legend. Remember, Phil
Tippett.
He did a little turn in Mandalorian season 3 with that robot down in the mine there.
The mines of Mandalore. Yeah.
I mean, Phil Tippett, literally legend.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Obviously, like people know him from Jurassic Park because in the memes, like he was credited in Jurassic Park as the dinosaur supervisor. So the meme going around was like, "What the hell, Phil? You let all the dinosaurs out. You're supposed to be the supervisor of the dinosaurs, and look what happened." But he's truly just like a one-of-a-kind
super
legend.
Pioneer. I mean, any stop motion you remember from the OT, it's more like him. The Tauntauns, the AT-ATs, the ship flying. And he also had to invent how to do 90% of the shit they did. So I think that's awesome. This is even more rad, Nick. We did matte paintings. Like real old-fashioned matte paintings. They even got an old ILM painter out of retirement to do it. Now, literally, awesome. We're talking like 1970s and early 80s Star Wars production tricks in a 2024 Star Wars show. I'm digging it. I think that's a very smart way to approach a project like this, where you're not thumbing your nose up at any sort of way to film a Star Wars show, because you will have people like that. I believe Leslie Headland herself's like, hey, I wanted everything to be practical, no volume. Tony the same way. I want all sets, no bullshit. I kind of like Watt being open to some of the modern for efficiency, but then going fucking way old school. I mean, matte paintings, are they even used anymore? I don't know. I don't know how they could be just for cost and efficiency, but I too, when I saw this getting passed around, I was like, you know, that John Watt guy, you know what? Who knows what the story's going to be like, but I like his decision-making process. So,
I agree. I think that like bringing back some of these old techniques, especially ones that are built in or that are like, you know, rooted in practical effects, are a good idea. Yeah. Because, you know, as we've seen recently, somehow special effects are getting worse.
It's crazy. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like, and I don't know if it's because studios don't want to pay for top tier special effects anymore, if just like we as a consumer audience have gotten so used to special effects now that it's just easier to point them out, and it's just harder to make them look as good as they need to be. But yeah, I do think that this reversion back to practical effects is the right move, especially for Star Wars, because that's what it's rooted in. Like Star Wars was always rooted in the practical and what could be done with miniatures and what could be done with real life objects.
I mean, Nick, even better, what could be done that hasn't already been done? I mean, that's what ILM was. They essentially invented movie making. Or they made it better. So, yeah, this is all good news. I think Skeleton Crew, it is going to be different. Again, it's an Amblin type of story. You know, think about Goonies. That's been thrown around a lot. So kids will be the lead, but I think it's going to be highly entertaining even for adults. And obviously, being in the Mandoverse era, we could get some lore reveals or, you know, more exposition. So that's always a bonus.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, hey, look at that. 1-6 shooters in here. A Scoundrels of the New Republic player, even though that might be on permanent hiatus. Who knows? All right, man. Sticking with that Star Wars time, it's time to do what we do best, and that is to speculate and get things wrong or mostly right. And we're going to start on the Acolyte. young Nick last week was sitting here making predictions, and I was not having it. I was like, fuck you, Nick. We're done with Acolyte trailers. They dropped the one. There's no need for any more. It's almost here. And lo and behold, on a Saturday when I was looking to just chill, what happens? We get an Acolyte trailer, and I could not help myself. But it's okay, because it was pretty fucking great. So as we usually do, we're going to kind of go through the new stills and just give our thoughts on what we think we're seeing. I do have some new theories based on some of the footage and some of the dialogue being spit out. I think, Nick, and I don't know where you're at, it's too in our face that the May we know as May is the bad person. Like, that is such a ruse at this point in time that I think there's some shenanigans going on with the character of May. I think it's a complete misdirect via the trailers.
Here's what I think. And I think that this goes back to what Leslie had spoke about before. Like, I don't think that this series is going to have your traditional good guy, bad guy thing. Like I do agree that there will be a villain. And I 100% agree with you that May is not the hooded and masked figure that whips out the red lightsaber that's in that scene. Like, that is not going to be that character. But I also I don't think that there is going to be like a traditional, like, hey, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Like, it's not going to be like old school Star Wars where it's like the rebels are clearly the good guys and the Empire is clearly the bad guys. There's going to be this very, like, it's going to be more of like, the factions are going to have their own reasons for what they are doing and why they are doing it. And it will be up to the interpretation of the viewer to be like, hey, I agree more with this faction than I do with this faction, or I can see why these people are acting in the way towards these people. It's not going to be a very clear cut black and white from what I can gather through what we've seen in the limited amount of trailers that we've seen so far and what we've heard from Leslie in the press.
I mean, here's the deal, dude. I'm going even deeper than you are with, and I'm with you. I do think the audience is going to decide who they think is bad and good. I even think the new poster is giving away the secret. It's right in front of us. Notice how there's two Mays, one with the mask on, one not. I honestly think there are really two Mays. I think she's a twin. And I think everything we're seeing is a misdirect. So let's get into the stills here, because I'll kind of expand upon this. Some of these, we get the new dialogue, which also helps to inform us. Right at the beginning, we see that bar that Indara is fighting masked May, as I'm going to call her. And it looks like she fucking loses. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the Jedi we hear about being murdered is going to be Indara, and it's going to happen episode 1, and that's going to kind of, kick shit into high gear here. We get some more scenes of Sol training his new Padawan, Jeki Lan. Still digging that get up that they put Daphne in. It is a pretty wild look that alien they have her as. We get better shots of the ship that Sol seems to be using. Very unique looking ship, unlike any of the lines or forms we're used to. So that's pretty cool. But then we get a great line, and it kind of plays into what Nick is saying on how things are going to be pretty gray. It's not going to be black and white in terms of good versus bad. And it comes from, I think it's Kamir, played by Manny Jacinto. You hear him saying, like, the Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace, but that peace is a lie. Okay, so clearly the denizens of the galaxy are already, like, questioning, did the Jedi really have a grasp on the entire galaxy? Are we really at peace? Is there shit going on out there? Are the Jedi themselves even doing the right thing? Are they focused on the right stuff? So,
well, here's an analogy that I'll give to really speak to what Manny is talking about, and it is the settling and civilization of the West in our real history. Like, for those of you
we
who
did it in the name of God, right?
Yeah. So like for those of you who don't live in the United States or didn't study U.S. history, like
this could be woke for some people, Nick. They don't like hearing about real history. Hold on.
But one of the things, like obviously the Pilgrims, all that moved over to the United States, blah, blah, blah. But more what I'm talking about is like manifest destiny, which was this idea that like we have to, like the influence of the settlers of the United States, not the native people of the United States, the settlers of the United States, their destiny was to stretch their influence from the East Coast to the West Coast. So all the way across the United States. Mm-hmm. And they were like when you learn about this in history, it is taught to you as a good thing, because it's like, oh, look at the perseverance and the willpower of these people.
We gave them culture,
settle,
Nick.
Yeah, to settle across this entire land. When realistically, there were people that were on this land before us, and we came through and destroyed their culture, and we came through and we wrecked their homeland and everything. And like that gets washed away in history. And now it's being taught a little bit more. It's being taught a little bit more that the Western settlers of the United States were more of, there was genocide that happened here. But like, think about this point in history in Star Wars. So this is why I told that story. The High Republic in Star Wars is a time of great expansion across the galaxy. And it is literally the Jedi and the Republic spreading their influence to other planets that already have people on them and already have cultures of their own and already have, their own systems of government that have been set up. But guess what? The Republic's coming and they're giving you a charter to sign to join the Republic. Hey, it's all good. We're going to give you security and peace, and we're going to make sure that you're protected against all of these phantom threats that are out there. But that's what they're doing. Like they're going into, they're expanding their reach in the galaxy, which seems cool. But what they're doing is they're going and they're colonizing these other planets that already have culture and already have, species and people and different sentient life forms that have built a life there. So,
but Nick, they don't believe in Force Jesus.
Yeah, but what Manny Jacinto is talking about is like, yeah, they're saying that this is good and they're doing it for good, and in their minds, the Jedi are probably thinking the same thing. Like, hey, we just want to help these people. But what they don't realize is by coming in and instituting their systems and their beliefs and all of this other stuff, they're hurting these people. These people don't need your help. They've been on this planet for who knows how long, millennia, thousands, millions of years, probably. They don't need your help. And I think that's what Manny is getting to.
1-6 shooter beat me to it. They need to follow the Prime Directive. That's right, man. You got to go Star Trek. I just watched the new episode of Discovery last night, and it dealt with this shit exactly. You know what, like, dude? Look, Star Trek, I know, hold on, it's super tangent here.
Yeah.
Star Trek is like the most feel-good science fiction ever. Can we just all agree on that? Like every episode teaches you a lesson on how to be a better person. That's it. Mm-hmm. And it's carried through every Star Trek franchise all the way up to the modern ones on Paramount Plus. All right. Sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm not like this. This isn't like a tinged version of this is what happened in history. Like if you just go and read the books and you take out like all of the, we did this for this reason. Like, and you just look at what happened. That's what happened. It's like our ancestors came to this country. They wiped out the Native Americans that were on this country and the indigenous people. And then we resettled it as our own. And that's kind of what's happening in the galaxy in Star Wars and the High Republic.
Bam.
Like as much as we look at the Empire during the Imperial reign and you see the vice grip and you see the forced, joining of the Imperial ranks for these other planets and you see all of the things that the Empire is doing, it's like, yeah, they did it and they're evil and they're bad. And like there were very, very visual bad things that were happening. The Republic kind of did the same thing. Were they as shitty to the people on these planets as the Empire was? No. But like the institution and the reach for power, that's the same exact thing that the Republic did.
Listen, dude, you're spot on, because what happens 80 to 100 years from this point in time? Palpatine and Dooku are able to rile up enough systems to start a civil war, basically saying, hey, what about the Republic trying to come in here and do shit to you and tell you how you want to be? You want to remain independent, don't you? All right, well, let's fucking form the Confederate of Independent Systems. So you're 100% correct. the galaxy itself was starting to turn on the Republic. It's not like Palpatine did it all. He just pulled the right levers to finally make it fall. So, yeah, I'm with you 100%. All right, moving on. Great analysis there from young Nick. You just got schooled in real life and fake Star Wars life. More important. The fake shit is always more important. All right, moving on here. So we talked about the Khmer lines to May 1 or May 2, who knows? And I'll kind of get into that once we get to the next line here. I'm just skipping through some shots on the screen. But we do eventually hear from Sol. She was my student. I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in. So, whatever happens, I'm assuming this, what I'm calling Bad May, I guess there's Bad May, Good May. Bad May possibly is the one going out killing everybody. Good may be out trying to either shadow her, see what the fuck's going on. Who knows? But she is going to be brought in. She's going to be blamed for whatever is happening here because I do think she has a twin. And Yord Fandor, Jedi are being hunted. Yeah. She was my student. And again, the trailer is always pointing to May, really trying to make us believe May. She is the one killing everyone. That's why they're going to bring her in. She is the one that Sol trained, or is she? All right, looks like we got a broken lightsaber here in that forest during that Sith fight they're going to have with that Darksider. And we actually got, I think, a lot of flashback shots, people, because you'll notice Sol has short hair and Dara is alive. They're in different tunics. They're not in their whites. They're in their yellows. I don't know if that's because they're out on a mission. Either way, these are going to be flashbacks. And it seems, Nick, that May 1 or May 2, the May that leaves with the Jedi, is a part of this order of witches that we learned, what's her name's from? Mother Anastasia.
Yeah.
Because we almost see the ceremony where he is coming to take her to the temple. And this is the tricky part. We've all been led to believe since the first trailer that the little black girl is the May we see running around with a ninja mask on, killing people potentially. We're automatically led to believe, well, yeah, this is her right here. This is Sol coming to get her. This is where I'm saying, what if there's two of her? And
yeah, I mean, it's very possible.
We're all being sold like, okay, yeah, we're just focusing on this May and this new teeth mask wearing character. What if there were always two, and the one was taken for her force ability, the one stayed back? Maybe that's where the dynamic shifts, where the one gets upset, like, how come the Jedi couldn't help us? Or how come the Jedi couldn't help me? My sister was there, and fuck the Jedi. Or look what the Jedi did to my sister. Like, I don't know. I kind of like the theory. I feel like these trailers, Nick, have put too much focus on May being the murderer, so she can't be the murderer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I definitely get that. I definitely think, I agree with you that I don't think that May is the primary villain here. I think that there is a lot of confusion, whether whether she's being framed, whether she has a twin that is, that could be causing some muddling here. But I do think that what is essentially happening is a case of mistaken identity. Like, the Jedi are very set on the fact that there is some sort of evil that is at play, and they can't find it. They can't figure it out. So what do? They ascribe that evil to May, who is a person from their order who left their order. So in their minds, they're like, well, of course, she's the person. She's the bad one. She voluntarily left the Jedi Order, or was expelled from the Jedi Order for, X reason. So it has to be her. But I think that there is a lot of misdirection that is being done in these trailers.
Yeah, I feel like they're showing too much of May as the potential Jedi murderer. So I just feel like there's no chance that she is. And I do believe, I don't know if it was this trailer or maybe the first one, I thought in one of the interactions where Saul is like fighting her, he kind of looks at her like he doesn't really recognize her, yet we're hearing him say like, no, hey, she was mine. Let me go bring her in. So maybe when he goes, he thinks he's going to find May, and when he sees her, it's not his May. It's this doppelganger, if you will. But it's very interesting that we know for a fact now, whether it's real May or not real May, clone May, whatever, she is a part of this witch coven. And this witch coven, it looks like they're into some weird shit. We'll talk about here in a few slides. Weird flashbacks. I think that ship was coming to get May after Soul kind of beats her down a little bit. Yeah, that's all that stuff. Other shot of Soul's ship here, yada you. All right, so we hear from Vernestra, Nick. She says, I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan to shift the scales. So it sounds like the wise Jedi Master here, who is well into her hundreds, she's picking up on like, hey people, this ain't some low-level bullshit. Like this could potentially be some dark side at a level we have not seen for a millennia.
Yeah. I do think that like she is the one that is the oldest. She's the eldest member of the Jedi Council at this point in time.
Outside of Yoda.
Like Yoda is on there, but I don't think like he's like one of the newer Grandmasters at this time, if I remember from the description. So like,
well, you gotta remember this is set even like 100 years after a lot of those High Republic novels.
So I guess he's been around. He's
probably
now.
In the main seat at this point in time.
Yeah, but we also know that Yoda is terrible at being able to identify like Sith any sort of dark side interference within the Force.
Terrible's like, kind. Like he's like derelict in his duties when it comes to the dark side.
And Vernestra seems to be more willing to accept the improbable. That's what I'll say. Is like Yoda is not willing to accept the improbable when it comes to disturbances in the Force. He is very much in the mindset of, hey, the Sith have been gone for generations, millennia at this point. Like, there's no way that it can't be
hard to see the dark side is. Yeah, it sure is for you, Yoda.
Yeah, but like for everybody else, like for Vernestra, it seems pretty easy.
Dooku was calling out in the era of the Grand Republic. He's like, hey, asshole, there's not good shit going down in the Senate. Like this thing is rotten from the core, and I think the Sith are the reason.
And Vernestra seems to be the one voice amongst the crowd that is like, hey, we need to look at, like, sometimes the most obvious thing is probably the answer. Occam's razor. I don't know if that exists in Star Wars, but like, hey, maybe it is Sith. Maybe it is. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how her journey in this show plays out. I can't imagine that they'll kill her in this show, considering that she wasn't created in this show.
Right.
But
that would be a big FU to the writing team, wouldn't it? To the authors out there, the words and shit.
Like like Charles Soule creates this character, and all of a sudden, Leslie kills her.
Get bent, Chuck. Fuck off,
I do
pal.
imagine that she will be a voice of reason in this show that may be an outlier.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think she is mostly going to be mastering and not going out on the missions. She is going to be a true master. Just like, hey, this is what I'm sensing. Go fucking figure it out. Next slide. Like there's some weird ritual taking place with these witches, right? I assume it's during the ceremony to pass off one of their own to the Jedi. But you never know. You never know timeline wise. But one interesting thing, Nick, they're all like they're doing their kumbayas, and then you see Jedi Master Tobin here, like his eyes go black.
Yeah, I did see
and he
that.
hits his knees. Like, is this part of the ceremony? Because his other Jedi, they don't seem to be concerned that this is happening right in front of them. I'm lost on this one. I really don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, is this like part of their ceremony? They're channeling his spirit. I don't know. It doesn't look good, but you've got Kalneka, the Wookiee, just chilling there. You got another Jedi chilling there. I think you got Indara and Sol there by the steps, and then Tobin's sitting there like getting his fucking eyes fried out. So,
and this is like the second time that we've seen this. Like, we've seen this scene like briefly in another trailer too. So, and it does just seem like whatever is happening is expected, or at least like unfamiliar but not threatening. Because like you said, nobody really reacts to it. Like the Jedi may not be completely like familiar with what's happening, but they seem comfortable enough with the faction of witches or whatever they call them to understand that it's not malicious at the very least.
Yeah, it's. I mean, maybe it's how they kick off the ceremony to know the Jedi's intentions are pure. Who knows? But I did think it was weird when it was like, I mean, literally his eyes go completely black and he hits it and starts doing the like "Take me, Jesus" pose, and yeah, they're just hanging out. So that'll be interesting. I do think a lot of what we're seeing is episode 1-2 type of stuff. Like I think these
Probably.
are one, we're gonna learn Indara is dead. That's gonna obviously cause a stir at the temple. That's gonna get into the investigation, and I think by the end of episode 2, they may even have captured May, but probably not the May that they think they got. I'm gonna stick to that until I die. Okay, more stills here of what really does look like Acto. I mean, it's almost dead on from right, dude.
They may have just taken these fucking shots from TLJ.
Exactly.
It looks really, really.
I mean, just the real world locations, the way the fog comes in over these islands, it just really feels like we're going there. You can see that there's like a ship landed on like a craggy platform. You know, obviously we got the dark figure again, so no need to get in that. It looks like we're gonna have some spaceship action scenes going on. They're flying. To me, Nick, it felt like they were flying through the rings of Saturn or something, like all these ice chunks and kind of having a dogfight within space ice chunks. So that has potential to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And here you go. So this is May. She's got her mask down. She's wearing this necklace, which we haven't seen before. So maybe that'll help us distinguish if she is a twin. And I believe this is where she says, it's time to face the past. Not sure if she's saying it to this character in particular that does look like a Jedi. Maybe it is Sol himself.
I was going to say, maybe Sol.
Yeah, because I think he's got the longer hair now. So a good chance that's happening. And you know, that line, if she is actually saying it in this scene, you never know. I mean, sometimes they just dub shit in to trick you. But it could be her saying like, nah, dude, you need to, like, you fucked my sister up. Something like that. Like, you need to start thinking about what happened back in the day when my sister was at that temple training under you. Speculation, but I don't think it could be that far off. Oh, next one we get some action. That there was they were climbing a wall earlier, then it does look like they blow up some sort of dam.
Yeah.
Here, Nick, and I do not believe this is Acto, but we do have a contingent of Jedi kind of marching their happy asses through a lush green mountainous area, and that's probably going to take them to that scene we saw in the first trailer where they're all kind of overlooking.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
canyon, and we thought Plo Koon could be there. I can't tell if this is going to be in the present or the past because they're all in their yellows, but I have read, and if there's any High Republic people in here, let me know if this is legit. There you go, Nova Toymation, a changeling assassin. I can get down with that. I have heard, Nick, back in this era and throughout the High Republic, Jedi had temple robes and then mission robes. So I do remember in the brief amount that I read that was accurate. Yeah, it seems the temple robes are more white and refined and regal, where the mission robes are kind of the yellow undertunic and then your traditional brown Jedi robe. But based on the screen, I'm going to say this is probably going to be set in the present story, probably during their investigations and taking them around the galaxy. Shot of Indara, really, again, I think this is prequel. It's probably from the same scenes as the Witch Coven ceremony thing. You know, maybe some shit does go down and bad blood happens right away when they take a witch from the Coven. And, you know, that's where some of the hate kind of kicks in. Mother Anastasia has a good line coming up. Here we go right here. And it does look like she's talking to a younger May or just May, not in her full ninja garb, but this is what she says, and this kind of plays into Nick's kind of mantra for how things are going to be portrayed in the Acolyte. But she says, "Destiny is not decided for you by some anonymous force. If you want to pull the threads and change everything, then pull it. So it almost sounds like, I don't know, is this the little kid like asking, should I become a Jedi, or did me leaving the order, was it bad? Should I have stuck with it? Because it sounds like the mother saying like, listen, fuck this Force thing and the way the Jedi are talking about it. You need to be the one to take charge of your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And I think that like, that is kind of the exact opposite of like the thought pattern of the Jedi. Is like the Jedi are very wrapped up in like, you know, following, like using the Force as like a guide to whatever it is that your life is supposed to be. Like so much so that, you know, they actively, you know, I don't want to say prohibit, but they actively inhibit you, or they don't want you to you know, look into the future. They don't want you to use the Force in certain ways. There is a very strict
no personal
way that you're
gain.
supposed to do things.
You know, you can't be, well, even though the High Republic Jedi look like a bunch of fucking aristocratic assholes, but
yeah. So I do think that this could be in both ways. I mean, like it fits whether it is her deciding to join or her deciding to leave. Both, like that, it fits in both manners. But it does also speak to the fact that like your life is not linked to the determination of, you know, an energy source within the galaxy. You have the ability to make your own future.
Yeah, man, it almost sounds like these witches
are super smart.
That, and they may have been the ones that were planting the seeds in these little girls, or girl, like, hey, we know you have the Force, you've been identified, they're coming for you, but don't fully trust in how they tell you to use your powers. Or if it's after, again, she's just kind of like reinforcing to her, like, no, you made the right choice by getting out of that fucking order. You made the right choice. You're the one that needs to kind of master your powers and your destiny. So it does seem like they may be a little more anti-Jedi than other factions in the galaxy. Don't you think this witch coven? Turning their eyes black, you know, laying down like, hey, you can't just have one faction controlling the power or telling you what the power is. It seems like they're kind of feeling the oppression of the Jedi that you explained at the onset.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that they're here's how I'll put it. Like, they're not anti-Jedi. They're anti any institution that is trying to control the way that you live out your life. So I think that they would be anti-Sith as well. Like I do feel like they would probably have the same misgivings towards the Sith and the Jedi, because the Sith are doing essentially the same thing, except they're being much more shadowy about it because they lack the numbers. Whereas the Jedi can be more forward about their position because they have numbers and the ability to defend whatever their position is. So I don't think it's necessarily anti-Jedi. I think it's anti-institution. Is how I'll put it, and pro-individual.
All right, got you. Okay, well, moving along here with our Acolyte trailer analysis. Jackie gets one of the May's blades to her throat. It looks like May is arrested. She gets out of her shackles. And this, Nick, does seem to take place in that woods area that we see this showdown with this dark figure coming up here who I can't wait to see who the fuck this person is, or hear who Nick may think it is. It looks like something gets blown up. It looks like Soul's running out. I'm telling you, something, look, I swear that is Soul and Little May. And I really do, I do think when the handoff takes place, some heavy shit goes down with the witches and possibly the Jedi. Because, I mean, this looks like a war has broken out. Who knows? Here's the good shit. I loved how this thing ended. You know, we get the shot of Soul knocked on his ass, probably from that initial Force push that we see in trailer 1. And then we get it. We get the shadow figure. We don't have to wait. You know, we're all kind of wondering who threw that fucking blade. Well, now we know. It was this person. This person threw it. And man, what a fucking helmet. I mean, it really does look like they have just this menacing looking Joker slit laugh smile almost up to their ears, right? I mean, it's like, it's got the Kylo helmet flip in the back, but then there's no eye holes. And it's just like this fucking zipper jaw mouth.
Yeah, the mouth of it is like is for sure super menacing and like almost unsettling, kind of like you said, to a degree.
I mean, Nick, so unsettling. a character in universe doesn't say, who are you? It says, what
are
are you? I mean, that literally, Soul's like, what the fuck? So, I've seen people run with all sorts of theories here. I have a feeling, like a lot of our fan headcanon, that this probably is not going to be a known Darkseid character, which kind of sucks. I don't understand why we always want to reinvent the wheel when we kind of have a timeline matching up right now that we could bring in a known Sith, a Sith that has been spoken in Revenge of the Sith even. But I think some people are running with this one. I really can't buy into, but I understand where they're going with Abeloth because of the mouth. You know, she has like that goofy fucking slit face look. I don't think that's the case. She wasn't really a Sith. She was just fucked up. Like, she wanted both Sith and Jedi dead. She hated everything about the Force. Some people have said Tenebrous. Okay.
That was kind of my thought as well.
That was Plagueis's master, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was Plagueis's master.
Plagueis is on the table too. I mean, 80 out, I would assume he's somewhat alive, right? Or no? Is that?
Yeah. He's around.
He's not. He's obviously not training Sheev. Sheev ain't around yet, but
yeah. I mean, it is kind of hard to really like pinpoint who it could be, but the two most likely subjects are Tenebrous and Plagueis. Those are the two.
Does that helmet look like it could fit a Bith?
I mean, and here's the thing too, is like they could fucking change it. Bith have like bigger cranial, like cranial structure.
The modal nodes people. That's who the Bith are.
Yeah.
The band people. And then doesn't Plagueis have like a fucking mega
Plagueis
long
has a
head?
very long head. He's a Mun or Moon. What Muun?
The banking clan people.
Yes, exactly. So, what it really comes down to is like, yeah, the physiology of what you're seeing, the physical appearance of this character really doesn't fit either of those two.
I'm telling you, new character. Like, it's going to be a new character.
Like, when we saw, but like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, we were like, oh yeah, the Grand Inquisitor he's got a long head, and they were like, well, fuck that. Like, I don't really care what his head looks like.
Good point. Although we have had Bith and the Muns or the Moons in live action already, so
yeah. So it will be interesting to see if it is one of those characters, because like I said, timeline wise, it would make sense for it to be either Tenebrous or Plagueis. I mean, Tenebrous is very, like, the only mention of Tenebrous in canon now was from Tross, and that was the Legion of Sith Troopers. It was Tenebrous Legion or some shit like that. But in old canon, he died 67 BBY, which is still kind of around this time period. Like, it's kind of right in that little area.
Kylo Grin, good 116 shooter.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I would really like it to be attached to prequel canon in some way. If it
it's not though, right, man? How many times have we done this and egg on our face, right? I mean, just look at the Bad Batch. We're like, oh yeah, this would make complete canon sense. No.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
You're 100% right. So,
I'll
as much as I would like it to be Plagueis too, here's the thing: Plagueis was awful at fucking physical combat.
Well, yeah, he's like a lank, man. I mean, he's like a lurch.
Yeah, he was super powerful in the Force, but he was awful at physical combat. And right off the bat, we see this dude throw this lightsaber like it's a fucking, like a boomerang, and it comes right back to him.
And dude, Force pushes the entire forest.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
It could be a female. It could be an alien. It could be a dude. It could just be the Acolyte. This could be the Acolyte. Maybe this is some dude trying to show off for Tenebrous.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe it's Tenebrous' first apprentice. Who knows? I just, knowing the physical limitations of Tenebrous and Plagueis and what we see here and what has been given to us in all these Star Wars stories that never lines up to what fans think it should be, because we all are like, well, yeah, hey, canon, connect the dots. But the teams usually like to get a little more creative than they have to. So, even if it's not a known dark side user, if they're used correctly and the reveal is done the right way, it should still fucking kick ass. So I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not going to riot like some of these other assholes throwing darts at me all weekend because I seemed excited about the Acolyte trailer. I'm telling you right now, I have not seen the level of nonsensical hate for anything Star Wars as high as what the Acolyte is getting. I mean, Nick, people are ready to light themselves on fire over the Acolyte, and it's not even out yet.
Dude, I wish they would light themselves on fire, because then we would get rid of some of the idiots.
Thank you. I'm glad you're taking a dark slant, and I love it. It's perfect. That is the right way to think about those types of humans. Death, please. No, I mean, I had some guys like, oh, I'm embarrassed for this guy because he likes the Acolyte. It's gonna blow, and then I took the bait because I argue now in the best way. I just kill them with love and kindness. And a lot of times they keep coming back and I keep hitting them with love. And then eventually they're like, this guy's a weirdo. I'm done. Like, I can't do it anymore. He keeps telling me that I need to, love my mom and go get mental health and figure out what's really bothering me and making me so angry. But the Acolyte, sadly, has already been shot in both of its feet and maybe an arm. Like, I feel so bad for everyone attached to this thing, because of these dickheads out there putting it out there that just for a fact this is going to blow and it's more bullshit and it's woke as fuck and fuck Disney. Why do you like Star Wars? You're a loser if you like Star Wars. So welcome to my life. It's fun. All right. Like we said, this was clearly the most exciting part of the trailer. We got to see the dark side user. It's going to be hairy in how they choose to resolve or show who this person is.
I mean, and look, here's another thing too. Like, even during that time in Legends, like, Tenebris had more than one apprentice. Like, it's very possible that, like, this is a Sith apprentice that is just not the one that we expect. Like, he even in the Plagueis book, he had, like, Tenebris had an apprentice called Darth Venomous, and Plagueis took out Darth Venomous, and then that's, like, eventually takes out Tenebris and becomes the Lord. So we already know just from, like, previous iterations of canon or even in canon now that, like, like, Rule of Two exists, quote unquote.
Were they following
very loosely?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, a lot of these nuts who have a hard time understanding that, hey, this is science fiction fantasy, and that allows for a lot of freedom in how you tell stories and you introduce characters. You are correct, Nick. There very well could be other dark side lovers, acolytes, practitioners out there that aren't known, that aren't trying to be their own Rule of Two. And as you said, the Rule of Two is horse shit. I mean, Palpatine himself rotated through like 3 or 4 fucking apprentices before he got Darth Vader. So it is what it is. I guess I'll be fine. And
then, like, in a galaxy where the primary modality of the Sith at this time is to be unknown and to not like show your presence.
They're not hanging out in the club.
Like, you could have multiple Sith lords out there with apprentices that are all trying to be the next version, like be the next whoever, like be the next Darth Bane, be the next leader of the Sith that overtakes the Jedi and controls the galaxy.
I'm with you, man.
It doesn't have to just be, hey, Plagueis was the only one around at this time. There could be challengers out there that we don't know about and that don't know about Plagueis, or Plagueis doesn't know about them. Like, it's very possible.
Remember, we're talking about a galaxy that's far, far away, not a single planet. So in a galaxy, you can have trillions of humanoids of all different flavors and force persuasions. So I think I've just convinced myself it doesn't fucking matter who this person is, because it does make sense as long as you have a brain on your shoulders and you understand that just because it is not directly tied to what came before doesn't mean that it can exist. It's called, that's why these are fun. You can introduce new things that may expand upon things that already exist or introduce something completely new. That should be exciting to Star Wars fans. I don't know why everything has to be what George said it was. I mean, George has been disconnected for well over 10 years now. It ain't his anymore. It's everyone else's. And that even inflamed some people. Be mad at him. He let it go. Like, he came to peace with that. And you can go find it. Go. He's like, listen, I sold it. I gave it away. I have no right anymore. I have no say. He's like, it didn't go the way I wanted to, but you know what? Tough shit. I made $4 billion. Suck my dick. So.
Disney didn't steal this from George Lucas. George Lucas handed them the rights, and they handed him money.
They were the only people he wanted it to go to. Like, it was pretty much Disney with Kathy, or I'm not doing it. So go read up on your history, just like Nick told you about the Native Americans. Be mad. We love you, buddy. He's here. He's dropping bills. He likes keeping his name on our pre-show banner as the latest reactor. We always love you, man. You never have to do that, but we appreciate it every single time. I mean, listen, I thought the trailer was even better than the first because of all the new footage, all the new dialogue. It is definitely, tickling my taint. I am teased up, ready to go for June 4. And I am expecting a fantastic series. I don't know how these people just live in this negative. Because listen, I do for most of my life. That's why I absolutely refuse, and my brain doesn't even let me start to get as negative and dark and angry as some of these Star Wars fans. I come here to feel positive about something in life, and I always will about Star Wars. Yes, I've had my rants about the prequels and this, that, and the other thing, but guess what? I still love every fucking bit of it, and I still watch it every single fucking year and enjoy it. I don't turn on Star Wars to get angry like it seems some of these people do, and I don't get it. If it really gets you that upset to where you feel the need to go online and start talking shit about other people and their opinions, that's a sign you need to reflect on what you truly enjoy in life. Because you either enjoy flame-throwing other humans and being a despicable person, or you just really don't like Star Wars and you probably should move on to something else. If you're that type of person, though, definitely don't go to Star Trek, because the quote-unquote wokeness in Star Trek will probably make you want to stab your eyes out if you're that type of Star Wars fans that hates all Disney content. I'm just giving you a warning here. Star Trek, very future forward when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know where you can go if you're looking for that type of material.
Listen, man, I'm surprised more people didn't flip their shit over the they pronoun in the second episode of Barris.
Oh yeah, I did hear that, and I was like, it just completely went by my head, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean,
because
that's
Nick,
how they refer to people.
you don't worry about that type of shit because it doesn't affect your life. Like, who fucking cares if someone wants to call themselves a they? Who cares? Mm-hmm. But I saw it as like libtards of TikTok. They kind of kicked it off. They're like, see this shit? They used a they pronoun in Star Wars. It's like, so fucking what? Who cares? Yeah. Who cares?
Also, like, you are literally taught in school to refer to people as they if you don't know them.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody says the name Jesse to you, is it a male or a female?
Right.
You don't know. So you say they. Like,
you woke sons of bitches, shoving it down my throat. Can the South secede, please?
Anyway.
All right. Yeah. So that's the Acolyte. We're not done yet. Don't worry. We will be dropping a pre-recorded show. We may even let some members possibly watch while we're doing it. I haven't decided yet. But we will be dropping a show. What day is that going to be, Nick? Do you have a calendar open? The 29th. May 29th, Nick and I will be dropping The Acolyte Once and Predictions episode. Like I said, it's not going to be live. Maybe if you're a member, we might let you trickle in on Tuesday when we record. But look for the 29th. We will be dropping The Acolyte Once and Predictions just in time for our Acolyte E1, E2 breakdown on June 5. Whew, right. I'm sucking in some air today. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, Nick. I know it's right into a headphone, but you got to do what you got to do when you talk too much, and I talk a lot. All right. What do you think? Tales of the Empire time?
I think it's
Tales of two female Star Wars characters time?
I think it is that time now. Tales of non-Imperial character time.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it.
Hey, listen. I'll go ahead and if you're new here, which I doubt you are, we love our fans. Lots of green names in here, Nick. We're up to 12 members.
That's awesome.
Kick ass.
Thank
You all are fucking radical. I can't tell you how much that touches me as a human. You are all lovely people, and I think I would even like you in real life if I ever met you. So kudos to you all. But the way we do this stuff is I let Nick. He gives his review. I'll give my thoughts since I kind of put mine out in a longer form. Go check it out. It's up on the channel now. Feel free to get in there and argue with some of the trolls. It's always fun. And then we dive into the nuanced stuff, some of the top moments, key points, ha's, this, that, and the other thing. So Nick, go ahead, lay it down. What was your overall feeling of Tales of the Sword of Empire?
The Tales of the Sword of Empire. So here's what I'll say. I didn't dislike it. I just think that the name of this series is incorrect. I'll put it that way.
True statement.
It's broken into 3 episode arcs. And one of those 3 episode arcs doesn't even fully take place within the time of the Empire. Like one of them, like the Morgan Elsbeth one, starts during the Grand Republic timeline.
It's Clone Wars, man. It's literally an event we've seen in Clone Wars. We saw Grievous and Dooku genocide the Night Sisters.
Yeah, so like it starts in the Clone Wars and then it ends in the Mandoverse timeline. Like, so to call that a Tale of the Empire is a stretch at the very best, but I understand what they're setting up. They're all of the Morgan Elsbeth shit, and I will say that was my that I did not like that one as much as I like the Bears.
We're complete opposite.
The only thing that we got out of the Elsbeth shit is that there's going to be TIE defenders in the Ahsoka season.
No, not even that. That was like still Imperial era.
Well, I know that like she introduced it in the Imperial era, and like that,
you think Thrawn and Paleon are going to repick it up?
110%.
Okay.
Like it's not even close because like what we have learned is that like Morgan Elsbeth presented that idea and then Thrawn championed it. Like Thrawn was the one who was like, we should do this.
That's like the lore nugget I latched onto. I was like, oh, hey, look, they're saying Morgan was the one that kind of keyed Thrawn into this thing.
A lot of questions about how and why she was the one to do it, because she was not involved with the Empire. Like she was in that, like, I don't know why or how she got a meeting of like essentially the Imperial admirals.
Yeah, I'm assuming, Nick, you're right. She was not in the Empire, but being a magistrate as a planet, I think
like maybe
she was the representative that they would meet with.
Yeah. So like she doesn't work within the Empire. They're not using Corvus yet as a place to like harvest resources because that doesn't happen until after she talks about it. And how and why does she have access to Imperial schematics for TIE fighters? And how does she have the know-how to iterate on it to build what is essentially the TIE Defender
with their cheap ass, man? It was probably like, hey, here's the thing. Who can come in with the lowest bid?
So like, I have a lot of questions around like how did she do this and why did she do this, but that's not my I don't really care about it. Like my whole thing with the Morgan Elsbeth stuff is like everything that you showed us is like we already knew that. Like we already knew that she was the magistrate of Corvus and she took over that mantle, but they didn't tell us how or why. Like she got obviously her Night Sister brethren were wiped out during the Clone Wars time, and then next time we see her, she's like, "Yeah, I've run this planet. Okay, I guess you run that planet now." But like nothing came of it that we didn't already know. Like this character's already dead, so like the information that we got didn't really lead to anything new. And the end, and like everything that we were shown, we already knew. Like we already knew that she was an oppressive leader of Corvus that's strip mining her own planet for the goals of Thrawn. Like that was already shown to us in Mandoverse. So like I'm not sure what we got out of it. I'm not sure like what the Morgan plot thread was, because it wasn't related to the Empire at all. Like you could say
Thrawn's
that
Empire.
Yeah, like you that's what I was going to say, is like you could say that if what I expect is going to happen with the TIE Defenders happens, then like, okay, she's a tale of the Remnant Empire, but like she had no impact or bearing on the actual Empire at all. So I just think that like the story, while the storyline was interesting, I just don't think that it gave us anything that we didn't already know aside from TIE Defenders. Like that's it. That's all I got out of it.
Bingo, bango.
For the Barriss storyline, the reason that I liked it more is because it was a storyline that I was actually interested in. Like it was.
Did you notice how she was a sequel, Morgan was a prequel?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how they set it up. And it was a storyline that I wanted close and that we've been tracking for a very long time. I don't think it's inferred at all that she rose up the ranks within the Empire League, because she was not affiliated with the Empire at all.
Just
like
Thrawn's special guest.
Like she was Thrawn's like little side project.
Real quick, Nick, what it did for me, like that episode with Thrawn, it showed to me like, okay, this is why this guy is working with her. I needed to learn that. Yes, we knew they worked together, but I need to know why he would pick some random lady on a random planet, and now it made a little more sense to me.
Yeah.
Plus, Thrawn was fucking epic in his time in the episode. He was back to, I think, the Thrawn Nick can appreciate. He's not
Rebels.
Yeah, he's not dummy Thrawn, live action Thrawn. He was 4D chess guy. And I think my favorite part, Nick, he's just like us. He's like, the Empire's so fucking cheap, that's going to be their downfall. And we've been screaming that for years now because of Tarkin and the clones. And again, this season, hey, fuck Necromancer, give me my cash. Even Moff is Dane's like, hey, that ship's awesome, but it's too expensive. Fuck it. We'll just let our pilots die. We need to make more money at the top.
Yeah. So like, yeah, to just respond to League, like I don't think that she was ever in the Empire or worked her way up or anything. Right. Like you kind of have to understand how Thrawn functioned as an autonomous unit within the Empire to really understand how their relationship works, because he was like, while he was a Grand Admiral and a key figure within the Imperial ranks, like he functioned autonomously and he had little side projects like this on his own outside of the Empire. So I don't think that like she was not involved with the Empire at all. So like, and that's why I preface this by saying like, I didn't mind the stories that were being told. It's just the title was wrong. Yeah, or just misleading at the very least.
I think anything, the Morgan stuff just really, fleshed out her background and why she became such a Thrawn sycophant. Like you can even see by her third episode, if you listen at the end, she's like, listen people, what I am working on will save the galaxy. And we know it's to bring Thrawn back. Like she's fully fucking demented at that point in time. And the fact that he kind of took her to the side and said, listen, fuck these other idiots. I'm giving you 3 ISDs. You're mine. I like the way you think, and essentially championed her. And now it makes sense why she was willing to essentially sacrifice herself for this Imperial in the Ahsoka series.
Exactly. So League was saying that not that she worked her way up in the Empire, but how did she go from Night Sister, like random Night Sister, to Magistrate?
In episode 2, Wing and some of the citizens hint at it. Like she essentially came in with her forces and kind of brought law and order to the system and sold them a bill of goods. Like, hey, you let me run things and I will make you rich.
Everybody prosper. Yeah, everybody will prosper. So, all right. I mean that's my thoughts on the Morgan stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. Back to Barriss.
It's just not a tale of the Empire. The Barriss stuff was interesting to me because it was a character that we've wanted to see her resolution for a while and really see what happened. I know that your grievance with it was, or it seems like your grievance with it was that like, Well, yeah, she turned back good immediately, though.
She learned her lesson in jail. I mean, she was already good when Lynn came to get her.
Yeah. So like, I really do like, that was something that that didn't surprise me, because like, this is a girl that was disillusioned into doing what she did at the end of the Clone
Wars.
Wars.
Psycho, man. Like, she was nuts.
Yeah. Like she really bought the dark side angle of it. And then seeing the physical response that came off of what she started, Order 66, the destruction of the Empire, and then
she did look depressed watching that building on fire.
Yeah. Like she immediately, like she was like, holy shit, I cannot believe what happened. And then she immediately, like, she goes into survival mode, which everybody does in a situation like that. It's like, oh, we've killed all of your brethren. Like, all of the Jedi are dead. So your options are now either join us in the Inquisitorius or die with them. Like, you're going to go into survival mode. You have, like, that is your response as a sentient being, as I have to survive. So what she did in episode 1,
be mad, you're too kind, brother.
Is purely for survival. Is purely for survival. And what comes after that is her natural reaction to be like, I have made a terrible mistake, especially after what was seen in the second episode of her arc, where like Lynn just kills all of these people, like indiscriminately. And like, that's another part. Like, I really like to see the darkness in it. I really like to see that visceral nature of what the Inquisitors were like around that time.
That's what I wanted more of.
And like, I do wish that there was a little bit more of that, but I think that Barris's storyline makes complete sense from a disillusioned child not understanding what she was doing to now somebody who sees the repercussions of her actions and understands that this is not what her end goal was, and that she had to do something to get herself out of that situation and do as much as she could to remedy it. And while I like, and I go back to this again, this is not a tale of the Empire. Like, it is the tale of Barriss Offee that is tangentially related to the Empire, but it is not a tale of the Empire. Like, I just think that the title of this series did not do justice to what the stories that were being told were. I mean,
she did have the insignia on one of her shoulders, right? Maybe.
Yeah, at one point she did, but like...
They were at Fortress Inquisitorius as it was being built. That was kind of neat.
Yeah. And I guess, like, when I heard Tales of the Empire, I just expected it to be like a little bit more Imperial focused.
Yeah,
and it
dark.
Wasn't.
No,
like,
that's why the Barriss thing kind of surprised me. Like, listen, I'm not shocked that she turned back to a Jedi.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Already? Like, the shortest, like, the episode 2 is 12 minutes, so maybe 9 minutes of content. She's already like, yeah, fuck this. It just, I felt like we could have spent 2 episodes exploring what the Inquisitorius was doing, more of what we got in episode 2. And then early on in 3, she breaks and there, she's redeemed. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not so mad that it is kind of weird that all these Jedi that go bad ultimately do come back to the light. It's kind of another repeated trope in Star Wars. I mean, for Christ's sakes, even Anakin Skywalker eventually came back to the light.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only one that hasn't or didn't was Palpatine. But he was never a Jedi.
He was never a Jedi. So yeah, I'm trying to think.
So.
You're right. I mean,
Dooku,
maybe.
Dooku's probably the only one.
But he was trying his damnedest. I mean, he had Malak Kenobi. Yeah. And he's like, listen, you dummy. This is exactly what is happening. Hello.
Yeah. So, he even tells him, like, a Sith Lord has infiltrated your ranks.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Senate, everything's fucked. I know everything. Yeah, so I mean, listen, I'll kind of pick up here. Like I said, I was the opposite of Nick. I really felt from a lore fleshing out perspective, I got what I wanted more from the Morgan stuff. Now, Nick's not necessarily wrong that, hey, was it really that important? But I liked even the little shit that she was the creator of the TIE Defender that Thrawn wanted. I liked how that was their connection point. I loved the moment with Thrawn and seeing how he did kind of woo her and turned her into his most ardent supporter, to the fact that where she would rape an entire planet, fly to a different galaxy and sacrifice herself for this guy. So that all makes sense to me now, and will always be thankful for prequel type of Star Wars content that makes existing content make even more sense. So that's where like lore Matt went with Morgan number one. The Barris stuff, like I said, her turning, whatever. I mean, it happens. It happens a lot. We just talked about it. I just felt it was too soon. Her thread never felt dark at all. It never felt Imperial outside of the first episode being at an Imperial facility. It just didn't. And I mean, she was questioning herself as Vader was seating. You could see it in her face. She couldn't even say "Long live the Empire" till she put a fucking mask on. So it's just like, really? Like, I mean, she was psychotic in the Clone Wars. So much so she tried to blow shit up, framed Ahsoka Tano. Like, you'd think she'd still be a little tweaked, just a little bit. No, like Nick said, she had her time to reflect in that jail cell. And once she saw the shit going down, she's like, okay, I don't know if I really like this anymore. And she even says as much in the third episode. She's like, yeah, hey, listen, I kind of let the darkness take over for a little bit. My bad. I really fucked up the Jedi Order by doing it because I just made it seem even more psychotic and was pointing fingers and really gave Palpatine the in for, oh, look, the Jedi are corrupt motherfuckers. One of their own was even accusing them of being corrupt. So it was weird that she just seemed like a Jedi the moment she became an Inquisitor. And I was hoping to get more Inquisitor stuff and then see her go, you know what? Fuck this. It was too soon for me. And I also think, and we'll talk about this more during Top Moments, the way she died was the silliest fucking thing I've ever seen. Let's be real, people. She was in control of that situation. She knows the cave. She was force projecting her voice. How the fuck do you get that close to someone wildly and randomly thrusting and stabbing a lightsaber all over the place? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that
if you're that powerful in the Force to where you can do the Kenobi and you're alive, what the fuck are you doing standing right next to someone going like, blah, 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 wah, 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 wah. Literally, she was throwing the fucking thing around the cave. I get it. She was there to teach a lesson to Lin, but did you really have to die like a fucking dope? So that was a little odd too. All right.
The method of her death, I definitely agree with.
I'm like, you're a fucking Jedi Master Force healer who is throwing your voice all through the cave to drive this lady nuts. And then you decide to stand right next to her as she's doing saber thrusts. Okay. Little silly. Little silly. Here's the thing. Barris wasn't really a kid. I think we all think she was the same age as Ahsoka. She fought at the Battle of Geonosis. She was in the fucking arena. She is older than Ahsoka. Like, she may have even been a knight by the time she went nuts. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But I'll see if I can find her.
She wasn't as young as everyone thinks. I mean, literally look it up. She debuted in Attack of the Clones in the arena. So she, unlike Ahsoka, who just became a Padawan when the Clone Wars kicked off, Barris was already doing that shit with Luminara. All right. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, seeing how she was recruited, it was like, hey, do you want to live or die? And she's like, yeah, I'll try this living shit. But even, dude, even on Nur in the being built Inquisitorius Fortress or Fortress Inquisitorius, the dudes are like, the one guy's like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit. These guys are crazy. I'm out of here. Dark side, fuck them. Yeah, Dante, he's the shittiest. Like, you can tell he'll go anywhere. What's Barris doing? She's doing what a Jedi would do. She's on her fucking knees meditating. Like, there we go. So
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I don't know who named this series. I don't know why they slapped a Tales of the Empire name on this, but
Thrawn and TIE Defender for Morgan
name that you could have given this series,
and then like Inquisitors for this. That's it. Yeah, I mean, you had the Inquisitor faction, and then you had Thrawn in a meeting on a Star Destroyer. I guess that's where the Empire ties came in. Yeah, but like Nick said, listen, it was still good content. I just rewatched the Morgan stuff with my wife last night. I'll probably rewatch Barris tonight because she wants to see what it's all about, and it's not bad. It's not like I was watching it going, "Oh, this is fucking terrible." I just think a lot of us were a bit underwhelmed based on how Tales of the Jedi just kind of fucking smacked us in the faces with 2 great short stories about, one about Ahsoka, one about Dooku. I still contend what they did with Dooku was better storytelling than the entire prequel trilogy. It was amazing. And the Ahsoka stuff, while not as poignant, you still got great insights into what shaped that character and how she was able to overcome Order 66 on a fucking cruiser full of mad clones because her master taught her. That's, I think, why we all love Jedi, because it was all prequel based that fleshed out some important shit that a lot of us were wondering, how did they come to this point in their life when we met them? And we didn't necessarily get a ton of that in this. Again, Barris's stuff was a fucking sequel, so it wasn't really giving us anything to flesh out her past. It was showing, as Nick said, what happened to her. But it was no Tales of the Jedi. Still quality Star Wars content. And if anything here, we do have to suck its balls a little bit. The animation across all 6 episodes is god level. I mean,
yeah, it was really
literally cool. Morgan grabbing that dirt. Come on. I mean, that's fucking animation. I'll tell you what. Everyone should go buy an OLED TV right now. Because Devoted, the episode, Barris's first episode, some of the most vibrant and rich looking colors I've ever seen in a Star Wars property. Nick, it is I think you have one. Watch it again. And it just like the reds at the beginning, and then the blues and greens when she's on Nur, and then the orangey reds when she's in the bowels of Fortress Inquisitorius. Some of the most beautiful lighting and use of color I've ever come across. Yeah. The music too, fucking amazing. Like Thrawn's theme, Morgan's theme, the end theme of Tales of the Empire, amazing music. I just, like Nick, the content didn't quite match the title, and the content necessarily wasn't as intriguing as I think what we were expecting.
Yeah, I agree with you that the environmental visuals were crazy. I remember there was I think on the same shot where Morgan's kind of grasping that dirt, there's this incredible shot of like the huge moon and the smaller moon like in front of it off in the distance. Like the environmental visuals in the show were incredible. But yeah, I mean, I really did have hope when Vader comes in.
Didn't even talk. Doesn't even say a fucking word.
I was like, okay, cool. Like Vader's coming in, maybe the next episode, because it was at the end of that episode. I was like, maybe the next episode will be a little bit more focused on like that angle of it, like Vader shepherding her along into like inquisitorious way, her reluctance, and then maybe a little bit of, like her figuring out like, oh, this is Anakin Skywalker. Oh, this is Ahsoka's master.
I mean, dude, Anakin's the one that threw her ass in prison.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd think, I mean, he's got to know who she is. You're right. And B-Mad's bringing up a good point here too. And we talked about this when we were speculating that the they character could be Luminara. How do you skip the opportunity to allow Barris to discover that her former master is locked up and being used to lure Jedi in? How's that not why she wants to turn? Like, come on. That's what I mean. It's like, again, are we bad fans for having headcanon we hope to see, and then we let that affect what we actually got? I don't know, but that does seem like, hey, that'd be really cool, because that would then connect into Rebels when we see that, hey, she wasn't alive. She really is just a spirit that the Inquisitors have been using for decades now to lure unsuspecting Jedi to be captured. But no, she just... Like I've been saying, she was redeemed. She was ready to be a Jedi again the moment Lynn came and got her out of that cell.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what the plans for these series are. Like, I don't know if it's just going to be like, hey, this is Tales of the Empire,
Tales of the Scumbags.
Then, will there be a season 2? Will there be a season 2 of Tales of the Jedi? I don't know. I mean, I do think that there are more interesting stories that you could tell for Tales of the Empire. And I feel like if we really want to take a look at Tales of the Empire, you could use that as a character study for actual Imperials that are interesting. Like You could use it as a character study for Darth Vader. You could use it as a character study for Emperor Palpatine. You could even dive into some of the machinations of those characters as they're jockeying against each other, which we know that they were. Like, take that series and use it as the actual tales of the Empire, and not as like these ancillary characters that were like
Tarkin would be a great character.
Tarkin,
Krennic,
Braun, Krennic, a lot of like, so many of these like high-ranking Imperial officials that we've been introduced to in other shows, like really taking the opportunity to expand on their stories and give us motivation behind the things that they did, give us reasoning, or just like give us stories. And I really don't feel like what we got delivered on that title. Like, these are Tales of the Empire.
No, there he is, though. We'll leave the Dark Lord of Sith up there on the live stream. All right, so I think we kind of beat that thing to death. Well, let's do a few top moments. I did count 8 of them here. We're just going to go through these real quick. I got the images up. First one, Nick, I found, we're going in chronological order. I love seeing Grievous again. That guy's fantastic. Like, he really is just a fucking lunatic, crazy murder motherfucker. Cheats, taunts. I love he's introduced by impaling one of the Night Sisters from behind.
Yeah.
He looked great. He sounded better than ever. Had that phlegmy gargle. It's always quality seeing him. Next top moment here from Morgan's second episode. I mean, listen, I've said this before. I love the little goofy lore shit. And the fact that they're now saying Morgan was the one that perfected the TIE Defender, which then caught Thrawn's interest, which we always knew he was into it, so much so that was his big push in Star Wars Rebels. I love that type of lore fleshing out. So I kind of got one there. But also, Nick, it's the fact that they brought Paleon in too, to kind of give him a little more backstory, which is, like you said, only going to be further paid off on in Ahsoka Season 2. There's no way Paleon does not relink up with Thrawn now that he is back. So I like those little drops. There's our buddy Moff Estain. Maybe even a bigger, cheap ass than Tarkin.
Yeah, I know that dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the epitome of Imperial scum, right? I mean, that guy was just like a piece of garbage. Next top moment, and we've talked about this. I absolutely loved when Thrawn had his little monologue about how he can foresee that the Empire is going to eat itself from within. I loved it. It was so on brand for Thrawn. The music accompanying it, when he's just like, listen, man, these dumb assholes, they are going to ultimately fail because they favor profit over life, meaning even their own soldiers. And he's like, that's going to cause disillusionment. And then, cracks are going to surface. So I like that stuff. And it's always nice to see the guy explained as the master tactician actually showing you his mastery of tactics.
Yeah.
Predicting the fall of the Empire. That was pretty good. I also liked... And this, I don't know if this is a top moment, Nick, but I really liked visually, at least in the Morgan thread, how from episode 2 to 3, you could see how much she and Thrawn's Empire raped Corvus and the people of Corvus. If you notice, they do a wide shot in episode 2. It's all green and lush. There's not that many smokestacks. But by episode 3, which is right before when we meet Morgan in The Mandalorian, it's this decrepit, burned out, fully terraformed, harvested planet. So that was kind of neat. But honestly, what I liked most about Morgan's third episode, it was a full-on direct prequel to the Mandalorian episode where Ahsoka made her live-action debut and we met Morgan. It was a perfect prequel for that. You could watch this and then go right into that episode in season 2 of The Mandalorian and wouldn't miss a beat. You now know why Bo-Katan was involved and knew about Corvus. You could even hear Ahsoka's music when Nadura was dying, like, hey, don't give up, have hope. Someone will come. So I love that shit, Nick. It was a prequel to me. So there's a top moment for that. Into Devoted, like I said, I mean, you gotta love the visuals, but I loved seeing Barriss break out the Dark Lord's favorite move in a Force choke. It was kind of surprising. Like you said, it's like she was just trying to survive, because she, even at the beginning of the fight, was like, hey, Dante, we don't have to do this. And he's like, hey, fuck you. Sure we do. And ultimately, she gets the upper hand. Is like, hey, have fun with your lightsaber. I'm going to do this Vader trick and chokes his ass out. Of course, having Vader show up, even though he didn't talk, that's a top moment. Enough said. It's fucking Vader. Get over it. And he did look good. I just wish he said something. Nick mentioned it, and it was a shocking scene, especially for animated Star Wars, but I really appreciated them showing the extreme lengths that the Inquisitors would go to kind of make a point. And as Lynn explained, like, hey, no, I'm going to make my point by making them fear me. Where Barriss is like, is this really the right way? Is this how the Emperor is bringing all these riches and peace and order to these planets? Because these people look pretty fucking persecuted. And Lynn, she's like, no, I'm going to teach them a lesson like insects. And Nick, it was so bad. They literally pan out and only show like her red blade and some red hues of light through the door of this, hovel that she was murdering all these people in. So I really liked how dark that got. I was just expecting a lot more of this type of stuff in a Tales of the Empire series. On to Barriss's final episode. Even though the way she dies is just so silly, like beyond moronic, I do like how she is just so powerful now and just has such an upper hand on these dark side users that she's literally toying with Lynn. No weapons, no punches thrown, just dodging her strikes. And then ultimately, even in the cave with the disembodied voice, just fucking with her and causing her to go nuts. So much so that she must have been having so much fun that she's like, you know what? I'm going to stand right next to her and start whispering directly into her ear until she stabs me in my guts. And then I can die and teach her a lesson. So, as we leave that top moment, does Barriss survive ultimately? And is Lynn on the path to redemption, Nick?
I mean, I would hope so for Lynn. I don't think that Barriss survives. I think that Barriss probably died because there's nobody to heal her. I mean... Oh,
good point. Well, maybe Lynn could read some of her books and possibly learn the art of healing.
In like 3 to 5 years after Lynn really picks it up, she'll go and heal her.
I mean, she looked fucking dead anyways. So let's spin our wheels on that a little bit. Like I said, Nick, I mean, by episode 3, it is a bit jarring to see her. And I do think some of it is related to the fact that we know she's a healer. People are being brought to her. It is somewhat explained in the sequel trilogy that if you do heal someone, I mean, Rey says it, she essentially is passing part of her essence over to heal. So if your job is to do nothing but heal people that show up at your what are those things called? A yurt? What are those?
Yeah, yurt.
Yeah, your yurt.
Whatever,
yeah, there you
novel,
go.
Whatever
shows up at your yurt at the top of this icy mountain, and you're constantly passing your force essence. You're probably gonna drain your youth. Your skin's gonna get a little more wrinkly and ragged. Now, it still doesn't explain what the fuck Obi-Wan Kenobi was doing there on Tatooine, unless, Tatooine's atmosphere is just like essentially breathing toxic waste. Because he aged even worse than Barriss. But I was shocked to see her, and they gave her like old lady face.
Yeah, like they really aged her a lot. I was surprised. And that's why I was like, man, like, I don't know what happened. Like, obviously, with both Kenobi and Barriss, they're living in very harsh, isolated environments. Kenobi's in the desert. She's in like a very snowy mountain. So like you're living in very harsh conditions. So regardless of, time passing and stuff like that, you're just going to get weathered more because of how you're living.
That is true.
But yeah, I mean, I would have to chop it up to like her essentially dedicating her life to being a healer, and that just sucks away her own life essence. Yeah, because
Ahsoka ain't looking like this in Star Wars Rebels.
No, right? Not at all.
She's looking fine as hell. I mean, hell, she still looks like fine wine by the time we're in the Mandoverse era. So Ahsoka, while a light side expert, she wasn't fucking healing anybody. And she was living right. She wasn't living in an ice world or in some shitbag desert cave. she was living the good life on her cruiser there with Huyang and Sabine. So yeah, there you go. All right, some type of stuff, and then we can get out of here, Nick, into the fan segment. There was some things that I felt were somewhat important. So the first one, we did learn the Mountain Clan, they were not Night Sisters. I needed that. That was a good check.
Yeah.
Morgan, bad from the start. She even almost corrupted the Mountain Clan people. The Mother. So we learned what that light was. It was the Mother. Was that the Force, Nick, or some other Dathomirian shenanigans? Because they're not Night Sisters. I mean, literally, Morgan's magic disappeared when she was with them. And she made like a ray shield. You could hear it. It was like that ping, ping, ping. But then she was just like, "Bah-ga-ga-ga," and fucking, over 9,000. So we think.
We don't know of any other like Force out there other than the Force and Night Sister magic. It didn't look like Night Sister magic because it wasn't green. And usually everything Night Sister magic is tinged with a green.
True.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it's the Force. I guess like through her connection to nature and through her devotion to the land and her people, like maybe she was able to tap into the Force in some way through that connection.
They kind of seem to live almost like Jedi, right? Like, hey, listen, we're peaceful. Don't fuck with us. We won't fuck with you. And in the end, she even says to Morgan, like, listen, don't assume that just because we don't want to fight, we don't know how to. Yeah. And that's very Jedi. I mean, she only broke out her powers in fighting when her family was in danger. So, yeah, I don't know. I was just like, what's this all about? Moff Dane, TIE Defender, Thrawn predicted the fall. We got that. There was a point in time, I'm not going to lie, I thought Ambassador Nadora was being voiced by Ashley Eckstein. She really sounded young Ahsoka to me, but it was not.
Yeah.
I love the Bo-Katan drop. That was kind of neat. It was cool seeing that they're still building the fortress there at the beginning of Barriss. Barriss never got a number, correct?
No, there was it wasn't like fifth sister.
You know what's funny? Outside the helmet, Nick, she's essentially wearing the exact armor that Reva gets as the third sister. So
I wonder if she was the original third sister and then they just repurposed that armor.
Possibly, because if you think about it, Reva was a steady Padawan when Order 66 went down. So yeah, she was younger, and who knows when she actually fell in with the Inquisitors. Yeah, I just said, Barriss immediately not down with Imperial treatment, blah, blah, blah. How old was Barriss? We got into that. She admits she fucked up and let the dark side screw her up. And then, yeah, Lynn's fate is open. All right, there we go. So there's the SWTS Bros Tales of the Empire breakdown, deep dive, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We did do our personal rankings. I'm just going to run through these real quick for the sake of time, young Nick, if you're all right with that.
Yeah, go for it.
So here is young Nick coming up here at number 6. He had the path of hate. I did like how Morgan's went, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Anyone that was a teen or a functioning human when Phantom Menace was coming out, those lines will forever be burned into your head because he said them in every fucking trailer and spot for that movie. Okay, number 5, Nick has The Path of Anger, so Morgan's second episode. Number 4, he has Morgan's first episode, The Path of Fear. Number 3, coming in, Barriss's first episode, Devoted. Number 2 for young Nick is Barriss's third episode, The Way Out. And then Nick's number 1 is Barriss's second episode, Realization. All right, guess what? Ours are different. So here is Old Guy Screaming at Cloud rankings as written on the screen. Number 6, Path of Fear, so Morgan's first episode. Number 5, Realization, Barriss's second episode, so Nick's number 1. Number 4, The Way Out, Barriss's third episode. Number 3, Morgan's second episode. Number 2, Barriss's first episode. And number 1, Morgan's last episode, again, because to me, it was a direct prequel to the Mandoverse, and it was a well done prequel. It was not like the prequel trilogy that still left me wondering, like, that's really why he became Darth Vader. I was like, yep, that's the Morgan we meet when Ahsoka beats her up. So that worked for me. There you go. All right. I'm trying, buddy. Fan segment. Let's do it. Go ahead and get us set up while I start clicking some screens around there.
There we go. Yeah. So for the fan segment of this week, we kicked it off with our question of the week, as always.
That's right.
Question of the week this week is, how do we feel about Tales of the Empire and the new Acolyte trailer?
All right.
So we have your responses.
What do we got? What were they saying?
First up, we have Nova Toymation.
Woo-woo.
They said, holy crap, am I ready for this fresh Star Wars era? The new Acolyte trailer looks incredible. I can't wait to see how this story plays out. So Nova is very ready woke and ready for the Acolyte. Mando Pirate says, I like the Morgan Elsbeth arc the best. Bear started off good, and then it kind of was like, what? The Acolyte looks sick. I'm so excited for that show. My birthday is going to be so lit. So I guess maybe the Acolyte drops on his birthday.
Hey, we'll celebrate with you, Mando. Don't worry.
Yeah. So happy upcoming birthday. Next up, League of Extraordinary Sixthers. She says Tales of the Jedi was superior to Tales of the Empire, and as far as the emotional weight was felt more in Tales of the Jedi. For some reason, Tales of the Empire fell flat in that sense. I did enjoy the Morgan Elsbeth arc better than Barriss, which felt forced for some reason. Now we have a full connection to the Star Wars universe with Morgan's arc. I do love myself some lore.
League's in my camp here.
I think everybody liked Morgan's story. I just don't like that character is fucking dead, and what they told me, I already knew. Like the only thing that they didn't that they told me that I didn't know is that she came up with the TIE Defender thing, and the fact that she came up with the TIE Defender thing makes no fucking sense. Because it was.
I want to interview young Nick when he found out the prequels were coming out, because you should have been like, well, what the fuck do I care? Darth Vader's already fucking dead. Who gives a shit?
No, I mean, like,
I love
at that time,
was awesome.
I was a kid.
Fuck
but
this
it was
bitch,
like
she's dead.
Morgan's character, but like truthfully, they were like, she's a bad person to the people on Corvus. It's like, no shit, I saw that already. What are you telling me that's
Nick,
new information?
Now we know why. It's because, Grievous fucked her and she was always bad and was never going to go on the path of good.
Yeah, so that's why my favorite of Morgan's was the first episode, because it was the only one that told me stuff that I didn't already know. And then Lee continues on and says, as for the Acolyte, bring it. We need new stories and new lore. 2797 Studios, Mr. Bat says, overall, it was nice to have some new animated content to ease the pain of Bad Batch being over, but I find myself not interested in the Morgan storyline.
There you go, Nick. You and Bat can get your Morgan dartboard up.
It was great seeing Grievous and the droids. We definitely were definitely formidable. But overall, it was just meh for me. I like the idea of Thrawn and the Empire burning the forests. Not Morgan, but whatever. The Barriss stuff was nice. Definitely cool seeing the early stages of Inquisitors. The fourth sister, Lynn, stuff was cool. At least she had has a story now, but I don't think Barriss deserved the happy ending. Can a character that goes bad stay bad for once? Not in Star Wars. Barriss never truly was a Sith, just a confused kid who destroyed someone else's path. Vader trade was cool, but also wanted more. Tales of the Empire was nice, but a weak follow-up to the far superior Tales of the Jedi.
Consensus here.
Yeah. I mean, it's because it wasn't Tales of the Empire. There was no Tales of the Empire in there at all. I thought Vader... Rippick says, yeah, I thought Vader might have it out for Barriss.
Yeah,
well,
so did a lot of people, but clearly
maybe he did, but he didn't say anything, so we don't know.
Yeah. You gotta remember, at that point in time, who knows? He's still a little emotional, I guess.
He's still like dealing with his own shit too. Johnny Osage Av, he says, the Acolyte trailer has me saying, June, hurry up already. Tails, Tails,
as in an actual rat tail.
As in the actual thing coming out of your butt. Tales of the Empire had its moments, but overall, why these two? When are we getting the Star Wars What If series? So, I mean, we are getting the Star Wars What If series very soon.
September 13.
September 13th. There you go, Johnny. So that's the answer for you. But I think that all of us have the same question about the Tales of the Empire. Why these two?
Mhm.
Like like for Tales of the Empire, I really expected it to be about the Empire, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get why the characters were chosen. Each, like, one had some prequel content to tell, the other one had some sequel stories to kind of end her tale. But yeah, for a series about the Empire, odd choice.
Yeah. And then final one here, Baron's Black series. Our good friend Spencer, he says, because I know y'all will post it later, but I'm headed out to work. I thought the Morgan episodes were okay. I feel like her story was pretty straightforward, nothing groundbreaking. I agree there. Barris's story was disappointing. Like you said in your review, she was pretty much back to the light side when they found her.
Let's give this guy credit for actually watching my fucking videos. So yeah, yay, Spa Spencer.
She would have stayed on the dark side. I just don't agree with what he's saying here. All of these Jedi go bad and always turn back. Even Vader turned back. Just once I want to see someone turn to the dark side and stay evil.
Dooku, you did.
I mean, I agree with you there. And yeah, Dooku's the best that we got for that for
That's
sure.
all you're going to get.
I mean,
even Revan fucking turns back.
Yeah, Revan turns back. I mean, but let's be real. Like, Star Wars has an aversion to showing the dark side as as it is. They have a really hard time of like, hey, this person turned to the dark side, and like they are okay with it.
It was George too. Like, this ain't just a Disney thing. Like, I mean, Star Wars is meant to be positive in the end.
Yeah. So like, while I agree with you that like, I guess my disappointment, like a lot of people are disappointed because she didn't stay bad. Like, my expectation was never that she was going to stay bad.
No, I just think it never felt like she was even bad to begin with.
No, she wasn't. And like, but that's the thing is like, she wasn't bad. Like she was never, did she do a bad thing? Yeah. She's a kid. She was a kid and she did a bad thing and she made a fucking mistake. And like, it stuck with her. It stuck with her to the point to where she had to kill another one of her friends just to survive. And like, I never felt like Barriss was bad. I felt like she was manipulated by bad people and did bad things as a kid. And once she realized what she did and the repercussions of what she did, she fucking regretted it immediately. Well, like a normal person.
She went along with it for a good chunk, because who knows how much time was covered between her first episode and second, but I don't think that was her first mission off of Nur with her and Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I wish we could have got more context, and I wish we could have seen more of that story play out. But like,
that's what I'm saying.
They gave us what they gave us.
Like, hey, here we are. She's a Jedi. I mean, literally at the end of the second episode. Well, I'm a fucking Jedi, so let's roll. And then she just pushes her off, unlike a Jedi would do.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a little hard to like have that be what her story is, but like, it wasn't a surprise to me because
the turn, not a surprise. I just didn't like how it was done. How's that?
Yeah, that's just like the prequels. The turn wasn't a surprise. It was
You're right. Good
done.
one, Nick. Yeah, it's like the old turn just never plays out the way I expect, huh?
They never stick the landing on the turn.
Nope. You're right.
So but yeah, so that's that is our question of the week. I appreciate everybody who came out and gave their opinions on both the Acolyte and Tales of the Empire. Now we are going to transition to our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved with this segment, make sure to follow us on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show and make sure to tag at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Star Wars Instagram posts.
Hashtags are useless. Use ad tag.
We've been getting a lot of the ad tags. I saw a ton of them. I have to scroll back pretty far now to make sure that I'm looking at all of the week when I pick my shots. So appreciate all of you out there that are using the ad tag at StarWarsTime.show. So that's it. That's how you get involved. Ad tag. To kick off this week's top 5, we have a shot from @SpaceAceX_photos. And they give us an awesome shot of the Kenobi series. The end. This is the final episode of the Kenobi series where Kenobi and Vader have their rematch. I guess their rematch because the first time was their rematch. This is their second rematch, and this is where Yeah, the rematch, and Kenobi gets the upper hand. So we see Vader down on the ground, lightsaber ignited, defeated at the feet of Kenobi again. I love how they were able to really capture the visuals of the background from the Kenobi series. I really do think that setting in that like space really made that fight cool to watch. And I think that Space Ace did a really good job of recreating that. And I also really love the positioning and lightsaber effects that they employed on the shot.
I just clicked. Never mind. I'm over here driving the ship, trying to show everyone closer shots, and I just clicked on a random link. Honestly, I kind of want this Darth Vader. I know I've stopped collecting Black Series outside just like random Sith Lords. My boy over there, Malgus and Malik. But after I received my Hot Toys Broken Vader, I want every version of that character because it is so fucking great. I even took a picture of him. He looks so good. Stay tuned, people. I am coming out of retirement, maybe just a little bit. I did drop.
I saw
like that,
Matt
Nick?
Haywood shot.
I dropped a shot on Star Wars Day. Got in the fun. Got picked up. Got almost 460 likes. I was like, hey,
look at that.
You know what? For someone that likes his bucket being filled, I probably should get back to this community that does nothing but fill buckets. I forget. I mean, I spent years every night sharing photos and, toy pops of this, toy community that, and it's nothing but like, hey, love your shot, you're awesome, no, you're awesome, and it was fucking great, and I haven't done it for a few years, and Saturday reminded me of just how supportive this damn community is and how big of a dickhead I am for not participating anymore. So kudos to SpaceX_photos, great shot here of that Kenobi duel rematch. Up next.
Yeah. Up next,
Dude,
we
got
have
a thing for Burkhead and his crossovers these days, huh?
I do like the crossovers because I think that it's a fun way to like bring Star Wars in.
Animal. I love Animal, man.
Yeah, so what we have here is a crossover between Muppets and Star Wars, yes. Which is just super fun. Yeah, Animal as Boba Fett, and then is that? I don't remember that Muppet. Is it Fozzie? Is that?
It's not Fozzie. It's damn it. Which one is that? It's not Miss Piggy. Because but it looks like a pig.
It is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like the male pig from Muppets, but I don't know their name, and that is Han Solo and Carbonite. So you have Animal with his helmet off as Boba Fett.
I think it's from Pigs in Space.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So pulling from the Pigs in Space, and you have Han Solo, Pig, and Carbonite, Animal there. I just thought it was a really fun mashup. I thought it was a really cool way to bring Muppets and Star Wars together. So yeah, I was a big fan.
These are real fucking figures too, Nick. I'm guessing these are Disney things. Have you seen these?
Probably. They might sell them at the parks or something like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I know Burkhead, they pop up in our feed a lot because, hey, we support all you motherfuckers. And he seems to like Disney more than you. I mean, I think this person is there at least once a month.
Dude, if I lived close, I would be there more often. Like, if I lived in Orlando or if I lived in Anaheim, California, I would definitely be at Disney a little more often. I think
my sister's family, they might have that. They used to have
vacation
like
club or
pass.
the annual pass.
Yeah, exactly, like the
that,
Florida resident thing.
Yeah, you get such a steep discount too if you're a resident of Florida.
They're in Tampa, so it's only like an hour and a half tops. So
yeah, it's not too far.
All right, good job, Burkhead Toys. Always doing those fun little crossovers with different franchises. I guess still Disney franchises in the end.
Yeah,
they really do own pretty much every IP from our childhood at this point in time, right?
They kind of do.
I mean, they got Muppets, Star Wars.
Yeah, like Muppets has always been like tangentially related to the Star Wars family, or not the Star Wars, the Disney family. I mean, like from
you're right. Even the Star Wars, like I mean, Hamill, I believe, did an episode of Pigs in Space.
Yeah. So like they've always intermingled. And then, like, if you've been to Disney, Muppet 3D has been at Disney World for as long as I've been going, so 25 years. I mean, like that. Those franchises and those families have definitely always.
You
been
know,
very
Nick, I still have only been to like what I would call proper Disney, the one with the castle, right? What's that called?
Magic Kingdom? Yeah, Magic Kingdom. Yeah, they all have castles. Yeah.
Well, like
And,
the sleeping the fucking thing in the picture. You know, their
Yeah.
logo. That guy.
yeah.
Once,
Magic
and I
Kingdom in Florida.
was 39 was the first time I went.
Yeah, no, I remember.
It was literally right before the pandemic. Like we were there in March as people were getting COVID at Disney.
Yeah, no, I remember you planning the trip and everything, like, because that was right around when the Halcyon was opening.
No,
like,
it was
or right before.
Yeah, it was like they were building it.
Yeah, like they were like underway with everything.
And
with
I think that was my second time the Galaxy's Edge. I did make it one other time. All right.
Yeah.
Who we got next
All
here?
Right. Next up is articulated plastic, articulated _ plastic on Instagram. And this shot here, I mean, I don't know how else to say this, but this is just such a crispy shot from articulated
it's making
plastic.
The first
it's
order
so
look
clean.
badass.
Yeah, I mean, first order trooper in the middle of a very lush jungle, in the midst of a battle. You can see an explosion going off behind him. You can see him firing his weapon off to the right-hand side of the frame. I mean, it's just an awesome looking environmental combat shot here from articulated plastic.
Yeah, the effects here, I mean, yeah, great shot, like you said, great practical setup, but I love that fucking laser beam and the, you know, the explosion back there. It almost looks practical. So kick ass there. And the reason that happens because articulated plastic is lighting things the right way. Having that red light shine on that trooper just sells the VFX there with the laser bolt. So that is articulated _ plastic on Instagram.
100.
There's this guy. You should see all these motherfuckers now. Kill Cutter being one of them. They're getting, I think, hired by Big Bad Toy Store because of their toy photography. Jesse, Fire Eisen, and now Kill Cutter.
Yeah.
And I think Stop Motion Zach are all now like in leagues with Big Bad Toy Store.
I mean, that's incredible because Kill Cutter's work has been great. Like I had 2 Kill Cutter shots that I was like choosing between, and I went with this one because we don't often see
the mall one. The mall one
was sick.
Yes.
When he's like the mall one I had up too, and I was like, I don't know, man. I feature a lot of mall shots every now and then. We don't get to see Ewok shots often, especially not fucking awesome Ewok shots.
These are
like
my
this,
type of Ewoks. These are Chief Matloose people right here, brother.
100%. So what we see here is the fight on Endor, the Battle of Endor happening. We see our Ewok heroes here, like shot from their back, and then you see the oncoming horde of Imperials on the other side. You see scouts, you see regular stormtroopers there as well. But I mean, like, it's just such an awesome visual of the like fucking down to battle Ewoks facing off against the Empire on their home turf. It's just such a cool shot from Kill Cutter Photo. Yeah,
I love it. I mean, he deserves everything that's coming to him. He even reached out this week and said, "Hey guys, I'm still sending those prints." So,
dude, I mean,
we love it.
Yeah, I mean, just
might
so
as well
much
add
love.
this one for Nick.
I know, right? Dude, I mean, so much love for Kill Cutter and like how like
this is an awesome setup, dude. Like the angle is just ridiculous. Like if you scroll through it and see the behind the scenes, it's taking up like a whole room of his house.
Yeah, I mean, this guy and his dedication to the craft and how much he's improved. Like we've been following Kill Cutter for a long time, and like just to see how much his skills have improved and how like what he's been able to do with this hobby and how he's been able to turn it into some awesome partnerships and everything. Just,
you know, it's funny that you bring that up, Nick. He used to be like hardcore Photoshop only. Like I remember he would be like, "Hey, this one took 150 layers." It does seem like he has kind of shifted more into the practical setups now. Less post work. I mean, there's still post going on here, but that fire on Wicked's torch, that's real. Like you can see it. He's lighting it in some of the behind the scenes. So
you can see it. Yeah, awesome.
Kill Cutter Photo, again, just a stalwart from the community, like a Sir Dork or a visual approach. I mean, just the ability to craft these scenes and come up with the ideas and then the placements and then the execution of the shot. These are the people that inspire the rest of us. So
just incredible stuff there.
See you back,
Kill Cutter Photo. And then to close out the top 5 this week,
I'm so glad
it's a tribute.
this.
It's a tribute to the boys
And the
black
gal.
and red,
And the little gal.
the folks over in the Bad Batch. So this is from Praporados.
You got to get good at that, man. You're headed south here in a week, bro.
Yeah. Praporados Snaps verse. So what we see here is a grouping of the batch, a final send off to the Bad Batch, and we see all of the boys and Omega here. So you see all of them in their stripped down armor, so they're like sanded off armor.
Oh, nice pickup, Nick. I didn't see that.
Yep, and you got Omega there with Tech superimposed into the background. R.I.P. Tech. And then if you scroll over to the second shot, it's in their original armor forms with the red and all of the color markings on it.
I didn't know that existed. Look at young Nick pulling out some secrets.
Yeah, so I just thought it was a very nice send-off to the batch. Was it the best Star Wars animation ever? No, but you know what? They have a place in Star Wars history, and I just thought that this was a really nice send-off for them from Praporados Snaps verse.
Very good, dude. Very good. I think you're ready.
Yeah, gotta get it.
Nick's headed to foreign land next week.
I am very soon.
It's got him a little worked up. So let's all keep him in the back of our minds, and may the force be with Nick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you're saying, man. I love the Bad Batch. These characters will resonate with me forever. I can't wait to get my tech, so I have my full set of Hot Toys Bad Batch, and I really do hope that these people get over themselves and make an Omega Hot Toy. She deserves it. I'm getting tired of this shit. You can't make female characters because no one's gonna buy them. Of course, they get bought. Just go look. You can't buy a Princess Leia Hot Toy. You can't. They're gone. Like if you didn't get them when they came out, they're gone. Same with the Rey shit. If you didn't get them when they're out, they're gone. We will buy them. We want to complete our sets. That's how collectors work, especially in Star Wars. We want the whole fucking wave. We want to complete the family. So please do it. I wouldn't be bothered if it's teen, young, or like we said, 20s Omega. All right. Thank you. I had to get that out there, Nick. Sometimes if you just speak it, it can happen.
It'll happen. Yeah, just put it out into the universe. But that's it. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of our show for this week. We actually had a good amount of stuff to cover. Acolyte trailer, Tales of the Empire.
Did it in 2.5 too, buddy. Not bad. Yeah. Not bad.
More content than we're used to. So go ahead, Matt. Close us out.
All right. Thank you, my friend. That's right. We are out of here. Let's say goodbye to Nick. This will be the last time we see him, at least live, until he and I are sitting here, hopefully, with literally our penises erect in camera because we're so thrilled about what we just saw from the Acolyte's first 2 episodes. But as I said, fear not. The Star Wars Time Show is not going away. Next week, I'll be doing a live with a member of Beyond the Dune Sea and Seth. Super excited about that. We are going to kind of recap Nick and I's predictions for the Bad Batch, and then you never know what Seth and I will get into. I have a feeling it's going to be fun because he likes to talk like I like to talk, and we both love Return of the Jedi. So I'm expecting a fun live next week. The week after that, we will be off the air completely, but I will be dropping shorts every day. You're going to get a short every day. I've already got them lined up. I've got over 20 in the hopper. That's plenty to keep you covered with some Matt and Nick action. And they're going to be good because they're going to be coming from a lot of our special topics that I've not released shorts from, like best moments from the OT, the prequels, Mandoverse era, stuff like that. And then, as I said, we will have a special pre-recorded drop last week of May to get you prepped for the Acolyte. And of course, we will be back live on June 5. So bye-bye, Nick. We miss you. I'll see you next week. I still get a little Nick next week. Yeah. You all don't, unless maybe if you're a member. I do think I might open our private recording to members if you so want to join. Otherwise, we will be posting it to the public. What was that? I said May 29, I think, something like that.
May 29.
Yep, there you go. And as Nick said, it's time to say goodbye. And when we say goodbye, we always want to remind you about our home base on that internet. That is just a fun place of fuckery these days. And that is StarWarsTime.net. That's right. We love our .nets. We love it so much that we rebranded on Instagram as StarWarsTime.show. But don't worry about that shit. Just worry about StarWarsTime.net. Easiest place to go if you want to see what we're getting into, what we might be talking about, or some of the content we are producing, especially me. You know, Nick he's starting to think he might get back into the game. If he does, wait until you see the less than 12 parsecs franchise that he created back in the day. It is enjoyable. You'll always find it on StarWarsTime.net. Not to mention our socials, which you can also get to through our domain. Hit that YouTube channel. Hit those podcast platforms. This happy ass show you just heard right now, it's going to be hitting audio only podcasts on Thursday, because that's how we roll. All we ask from you is, hey, if you want to consider joining the channel as a member, we'd love to have you. We got some perks. We got 3 levels. You can go as low as $1.99. You can go as high as $10. It doesn't matter to us. We appreciate anyone that joins the channel. But don't forget what really is important to us, and that's just you all, and the feedback, and the sharing of ideas, and the sharing of our content, and telling me how great I am. That's always going to go over well on the Star Wars Time Show. Remember, Matt has a holy bucket, and he needs it filled from fellow Star Wars fans. And you also need to remember that there's always time for Star Wars Time, people. StarWarsTime.net. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you, and all 12 of you SWTS members always.